Steve Dangle Podcast. Powered by Sports Interaction. Wanna bet?
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
So we had a podcast, and then we had an Eric Lindros special, and then we had 5 trade videos from Steve yesterday. 5?
I made 5 videos.
Within 24 hours, because the Lafferty McCabe.
No,
Yeah.
you're confusing hat picks.
I also did hat
videos.
picks.
Oh, you had hat picks.
Yeah, that's one of the 5.
Yeah, but that's for the other guys.
So,
other guys.
the Monday podcast, the Lindros podcast, the McCabe trade video, the Sandine trade video, the Engvall and Chen trade video, the Kane trade video, and the Ekholm trade video. Woo! Oh, and hat picks.
Yeah,
Did I have hat picks? My initial count?
I don't think
I
so.
don't friggin' remember.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset, actually. Steve has been using some halls because he's sick, and I am too, but you're sicker. And the
I'm
thing
on the
is,
mend.
what's interesting, though, is Steve walked in today,
Have
and
you been
his...
taking your athletic greens?
No, I haven't. Not as
Your immune system.
But
needs
Steve
that
walked in
support.
here today with the sexiest voice I've ever heard him have. It was deep. It was grovelly. It was earth shaking. My loins were aflutter.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I said.
Yeah,
when I
but
came in
now
the
you're
door.
better now. You're like the halls is working a little bit. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the coffee with the honey.
Now,
Need the coconut oil.
Steve's been doing your job, and I've also been doing my job because I made a trade.
Shut up.
I
What'd
made a
you do?
trade.
what
What'd you
trade
do?
did you make?
I traded my glass of water for a water bottle.
What? No.
No way.
Are you? Wow, you're not going to wreck equipment anymore. Yay!
Way!
I have right
Look at
here
this
the
man.
Shovin' Buddies SDPN water bottle.
I love it.
made a 1-for-1. Actually, it wasn't really a 1-for-1. I threw in a 7th round draft pick.
Oh, that's nice.
To acquire the water bottle. Conditional 7th. I traded in my glass of water. Sometimes bullying works. The internet yelled at me enough, and Steve Dangle poked at me enough that I got a water bottle.
There were people
you
in the
go.
comments, the compliment section, sorry,
Yes.
that were like really on you about that.
Yeah.
Like they were really, it's upsetting to some people to have that. Have you ever done this? Like you ever taken a knife and just kind of put it up against your thumb and see how people like, I
God, what?
I would say,
No,
I have a buddy, our buddy Alex. No, it's not as bad as it seems. Relax. I took a butter knife once and just put it up against my thumb. He was like, oh, and he couldn't handle it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because he thought it would cut you, but it
I'm
obviously
like,
wouldn't because it's a butter knife.
Exactly. Yeah. Jeez, relax, everyone.
So it started bad. It sounds
Did you
bad.
really think I was going to go there?
I don't know.
Oh my
I don't know, Adam.
know.
Oh my
I
God.
was just trying to tell everybody that I was working yesterday as a general manager making trades.
Now, listen, we got. It's a shame you didn't reach out to me. I know the owners of the company. I probably could have got you that.
This company?
Yeah.
They make the Shovin' Buddies
Yeah,
bottle?
yeah.
Ah, damn it.
Bummer. No. Leafs made some trades yesterday. Oilers made
What?
a trade. But before we get into what we need to get into here, I just want to say we'll get into it fully. Man, the LA Kings did Jonathan Quick dirty.
Oh.
Man, oh man. Now, we will talk about it. There was one of the most impassioned comments I've ever seen on our Discord. Robert let me know, sent it to me this morning. And wow, are they upset?
He spilled anyway.
No, he's pouring it on purpose. To get in your head. He's in your fucking
good.
brain.
Your fucking walls.
I'm in your fucking walls, old man.
All right.
Cope and see.
Guys, do you hear that? Do you hear that?
What?
Play the jingle, Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Did somebody say skip?
If Mitch likes it, it's got to be great. Mitch Marner, famous for being a picky eater. We wanted to leverage Mitch Marner's pickiness into a really great menu that's available from Skip the Dishes right now. And we actually have the food in the studio, which is the best part. So here's the deal,
I'm
guys.
going to eat into the mic so hard.
We got the first 1,000 people to redeem the code I'm about to give you are going to get $10 off orders of $25 or more. Okay?
That's a lot of dollars.
And this is on Mitch Marner's thing, and it launches Thursday, March 2nd. So most of you, when you listen to this, it will be live.
tomorrow
Okay? So
or today.
the code is
Is that confusing?
SPO10MD. O and 0 are different. So SPO 10MD. SPO 10 MD. All right, now let's go
We
through our
made it
orders
real
here.
simple for you.
Let's go through the orders. Again, the first 1,000 customers between now and 11:59 on March 4th. It's in select Ontario markets, GTA, and some parts of Northern Ontario as well. So let's have a look. What do we have here?
Jesse's pulling it
What
up
do you remember
so
what you ordered, Steve?
daintily. I got the boneless wings.
Which are chicken nuggets.
Are they? It's got. I like.
It's got Mitch's face.
Can I just have the Mitch sticker? I just want the Mitch's Dishes sticker.
It's a good one. I want the jersey. There's like a jersey and stuff that he's got.
So this is the boneless wings. This is mine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this is,
Okay.
but it's gonna be. I don't want to rip Mitch's face.
Just open
No,
it.
take your
Open it.
wings.
Now.
This is your wings, and you don't know what that one is. Pass me that one. And then this is Chippers.
So,
And this
got
is
the.
my stick.
So here's the thing, man. This food is delicious. Look at these. By the way, look at these chips.
Mitch, I'm sorry. Oh wait, I can just peel it off. Oh, I'm totally keeping this. There you go, right there.
I got a deconstructed grilled cheese sandwich. Looks delicious.
Yeah, from the kids menu. You
Whatever.
absolute goof. Okay. Boneless wing.
That is so freaking
Barbecue?
good.
Okay. Yeah.
Barbecue.
Mitch,
Jesse, what did you get?
Mitch did good.
I got the hot stick honey.
What is hot stick honey?
There's no way you're going to be able to eat that on the show.
Chicken sandwich, potato bun, hot honey. Like
I want to see the potato bun. I want to know what that's all about.
What is a potato?
that's an extra little burger.
Oh, it's an extra burger.
they
that
offered
wasn't
it.
even the
The Skip app threw in an extra
Yeah, they
little
did.
burger
Yeah, they
for
did.
us. Oh my gosh, that wasn't even mine. Here it is.
Oh.
We got pickles. We got lettuce. We got the honey. I wonder if it's gonna be spicy.
Bite.
I think it's going to give you a solid 3.5 out of 10 on the spice.
Not spicy at all. It is sweet.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so here's the deal. All right. Portion of this is going to go to the Marner Assist Foundation too. So if you are ordering, just know that part of that is going to a really great foundation, the Marner Assist Foundation. Again, the voucher code is only good for the first 1,000 people. So it is SPO10MD. SPO10MD. It's good for $10 off orders of $25 or more. First 1,000 customers starting March 2nd, and it will stay open until 11:59 March 4th, which is Saturday night. So it's good for the Flames game, and it's good for the Vancouver Canucks game. If you're ordering in, that's the time to do it.
If you are, like me, a child, the boneless wings.
Are they
The boneless right wings, because that's Marner
that's
plays
what
the
they're
right
called.
wing, you see.
There you go. And,
Well,
you know,
that's-
and there's a whole huge list. We just ordered some of the stuff. There's actually like probably 20, 30 items.
Can we get more?
Yeah, we can order more next week if you want.
Hit him with that
that'd be
extra
awesome.
burger.
It was done with a chef who won MasterChef Canada, so it's amazing. If Mitch likes it, it's got to be great, and it actually is really delicious. So check it out. Download the Skip the Dishes app. Grab that promo code and get yourself some eats this weekend. Let's see how those new trades work out with Mitch Marner on the Leafs.
Did somebody say skip?
I want to read something to you, okay? I have in front of me,
Catcher in the Rye.
thanks to... No, I don't want to read... No. One of the worst books I've ever read. Don't tell me that book's good. It sucks. Chris Johnson, last year, in April, talking about the Leafs lineup ahead of Game 1 versus Tampa. I'm going to run you through the lineup.
This is good.
And at NurseAlex19, thank you for tweeting this today. Tweet starts with Andre Kasha looks to be rejoining the Leafs lineup ahead of Game 1 against Tampa. So your first line, Marner, Matthews, Kerfoot.
Oh!
Your second line,
They did win 5-0, but...
Kasha, Tavares, Mikheyev.
Oh!
Your third line,
Oh, I forgot they did this.
Engvall,
Yep.
Kampf, Nylander.
It worked decently.
And your fourth line, Simmons, Blackwell, Clifford. Your defense pairings, Riley Labushkin, Muzzin Brody, Giordano Liljegren, and your extras are Spezza, Hall, Bunting. By the way, Bunting was injured.
That's
And
right.
Sandin.
Can you send me that tweet?
I can send you that tweet. I can send you that tweet right now. It's pretty wild, huh?
Because Jesse has up Daily Face-Off, which is a bit different.
What do you have now?
Well, what they have right now, a top line of Bunting, Matthews, Marner, a second line that is still cartoony and funny, John Tavares, Ryan O'Reilly, William Nylander. A third line, now that Pierre Engvall's been traded, Alexander Kerfoot moves up to play with David Kampf and Kalle Järnkrok, and a fourth line of Zach Aston Reese, Noel Acciari, and Sam Lafferty.
Little bit of a difference.
Yeah, can you scroll down to the D pairs?
Hold on, I gotta get this.
Scroll down to the mother. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Wait, hold on. There you go. You want the D pairs? There you go.
There it is. Riley Hall. I really am gonna fight Sheldon Keefe. I'm gonna lose, but I'm gonna. I'll do my best.
What is wrong?
After all the defense that they picked up yesterday, they picked up 3 defensemen in the last 48 hours. Riley Hall is still the lead.
They kept the best one in the lineup.
That's right.
Justin Hall. The best defenseman in Toronto Maple Leafs history, according to Sheldon Keefe, who plays him in every scenario.
Every scenario.
Power play, Justin Hall. Penalty kill, Justin Hall. 3-on-3,
Justin Hall.
Justin Hall.
He is an OT winner.
OT winner,
Do you,
Justin Hall.
Mister? I was a GM.
Okay, can we hurry it along here? We got Riley Hall.
Riley Hall, McCabe Brody. So Daily Faceoff has McCabe on the left of Brody. I've seen the opposite. Who knows? And Mark Giordano with Timothy Liljegren. That's at the time we're recording this. They're about to warm up in Edmonton. So you never know. Maybe Hall's not on the Leafs top pair anymore.
Maybe.
But you never know.
It's doubtful, but maybe. Kyle Dubas had himself a day yesterday. Let's start from the beginning. A day after trading for Jake McCabe and Sam Lafferty, it kicked off with a surprise trade of Rasmus Sandin to the Washington Capitals.
Not a surprise if you listened to our last show.
For a first-round pick and a former 60-point D-man in Eric Gustafsson, who has admittedly fallen off a cliff a little bit.
Well, the Leafs resurrected his season, though.
Eric Gustafsson?
He had 0 goals in about 50 or 60 games dating back to last season. Then he scored against the Leafs in a game against Washington. And then he scored again, and then he scored again. He had a hat trick after going dozens and dozens of games with no goals.
Of course it happened against the Leafs.
He now has 7 goals and 38 points on the season. Morgan Riley leads the Leafs in defensive scoring with 29. So Eric Gustafsson is now the highest scoring Leafs defenseman.
Yeah, one of the weakest part of the Leafs lineup has been scoring from the defenseman. That's why it was such a special moment when Liljegren and Gio scored last game, and they made a big deal about it on the broadcast because it doesn't happen this year. All the scoring has been from the forwards, so it's interesting bringing in Gustafsson.
Sandin was pulled from ice mid-practice without a medical person present, which is usually a sign.
Yep.
In a vacuum, let's not talk about the ramifications of the trades that preceded this. Let's talk about what this trade is in a vacuum. You hear about part 1 of 3. What does this trade mean to you?
It's a lot like Nils Lundqvist going from the Rangers to the Stars. That is it's a buying team selling, right? The Leafs unfortunately had to move salary in order to activate Matt Murray or do whatever else they're doing, because I don't think they're done. They acquire another first-round pick that they can do something with. Look, we talked about it at length last show. The math wasn't mathing for Rasmus. It wasn't.
Well, I mean, he's going to be locked out of the... He wants top 4 minutes. He's going to be locked out of the top 6.
He wasn't... Well, and you know, when guys were down earlier this season, he gave you good top 4 minutes.
He did. He was a little sloppy to start.
He had a rough couple months very sloppy to start.
Yeah, because he held out.
Yeah.
He was sloppy to start because he didn't participate in training camp.
I think Leaf fans talking about Sandin never got a fair shot in Toronto are misremembering a complicated start to an NHL career that I'm sure is going to be great. I saw a highlight pack today that the Capitals tweeted out, and I was like, oh, shit, we're going to regret that one. But he doesn't fit the Leafs window now. If you're not going to be in your top 6, then, I mean, you're not helping to win the cup now, and that's what the goal is. They haven't won a playoff. Yeah, we know all that, but they're trying. They're trying to win the cup now. They're trying to win the cup next year, and he doesn't quite fit that window. They tried him in the top 4.
Tried him with Riley?
Tried him with Riley. Tried him on the right side. And we maybe should have seen the groundwork for this laid months and months ago. When the Leafs discovered he was just not an option on the right, that was it. That was it. They locked up Riley long-term. They had Muzzin locked up long-term. And I mean, that already, if you can't play the right side, relegates Rasmus Sandin to the third pair forever.
Yes.
So, but then Muzzin's career ends, or at very least his season ends.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go out and get Jake McCabe, who's locked up for the next 2 years after this one. So what are you doing? He wasn't going to play. And they couldn't afford to have him not play. And also, he's too valuable.
And people will say, well, like you look at it from an EA Sports NHL 23, his overall is much higher than Justin Hall's overall, or his potential is much higher than Justin Hall's. But what does Justin Hall play?
Well, the right.
Every position.
Wow.
And the penalty kill. And Justin Hall, probably looks worse than Rasmus Sandin on a lot of nights because Justin Hall is taxed with doing more.
I saw Sandin's chart floating around on Twitter yesterday, and people were like, "Whoa, it's worse than 95 percentile. Where this is crazy." It's like, well, he's third line minutes. Hang on.
Can everyone please learn to take these things with a grain of salt? Yep. We're talking like a top 5 percentage player in the NHL traded. Leafs can't use him. You got it. You nailed it. Look at you. Look at how smart you are. Why aren't you running an NHL team? You ought to be.
Yep.
No, like the Leafs did well with Sandin in terms of protecting him and sheltering him. And he's going to be a good player. I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the Capitals' first pair in relatively short order.
Well,
at
because
very least second.
With Orlov gone, he fills a hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And with John Carlson injured, he might run the Washington Capitals power play. He might get to run the Alexander Ovechkin power play.
That's cool. Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
not a bad way to cut your teeth.
one of the most underrated parts of the deal is that the Leafs got a first-round pick back. That opens them up for so many different avenues in the next 2 days if they want to go down that. If they want to package that with salary out, there's so many more options for Dubas.
He also was a second round pick, so they got a higher pick than what he was.
No, he was a
he's a late first?
But he was 28th overall.
Yeah, and this is a Boston's pick, which is going to be the 32nd pick.
Well, if they win the cup, it's the 32nd pick. So I saw some people like, yeah, but it's basically no. What? It's 4 picks later than Sandin was picked.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dubas is perfectly capable of, getting good players and at that part of the draft. Robertson was a second. Minton was a second. Nyes was a second. All these players you've been begging the Leafs management group to not give up were second round picks.
And this pick is going to be 2 second-round picks.
Yes, it probably will be.
No,
if it makes it through the trade deadline.
The 45th and 52nd,
Yeah.
if it makes it past Friday,
Yes.
which it may not because there are so many more options here now.
I will be very surprised if the Leafs hold on to this pick.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I would be too. And I think I would be very surprised if they are not looking to bolster their right side right now. Do you think
I could see them moving Gustafsson?
I can see them moving Gustafsson. I can see them moving Hall.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can.
Yeah.
And it's
just because of the salary and the UFA status.
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's not because he's bad or he's good, whatever Leafs Nation wants to make him out to be. I think he's okay. I think Justin Hall's okay. Is that okay?
There's a million people who
He's
can
okay.
fill that hole that Justin Hall plays.
The Leafs.
Oh, no, don't say that.
You know what? It might.
You're going to get charted to death. They're going to have charts rammed down your throat.
We got to, because the Leafs warm-ups in Edmonton are probably going to get announced. I would not be surprised to see the Leafs sit a guy out for trade-related reasons, because they got 3 games in 4 nights coming up, and they got a back-to-back on the road.
Calgary.
Edmonton, Calgary, 2 teams that do like to grind you, and 2 teams that will skate with you, and 2 teams that you have to play on back-to-back nights before the deadline. So if you are trading a guy off the roster, you are really leaving yourself vulnerable for potentially losing an asset.
Pulling it back to this trade.
Yeah.
Just for a second. Not that wasn't part of it, but pulling it back to the people, not just the draft pick, which is the magic box.
Yes.
Erik Gustafsson is an offensive defenseman, apparently has his warts on defense. What would you describe him as?
I described him as a souped up TJ Brennan, where
TJ Brennan.
Yeah, no, because you would look
like NHL quality TJ Brennan.
in terms of like making a comparable for Leaf fans.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Where you look at a guy in the minors and you go, why isn't he in the NHL? And then he gets called up to the NHL and you're like, oh, okay, fair. Yeah, fair. So he's either premium TJ Brennan or Tyson Barrie light.
Oh, I think that's a big cavernous example. You know, there's a big gap between those two things.
Yeah, and he's in the middle.
He's somewhere in the middle. Okay.
He's somewhere in the middle, which I think is perfectly fair. Like somewhere between like second pair top power play unit guy and AHL tweener, there's dude who should probably be your 6 or 7.
Okay.
You know, he's an offensive 6 or 7.
He's an offensive 6 or 7, which generally teams don't really use. Like a 6 or 7 is usually reserved for.
But if you have an offensive defenseman go down, you might need him.
Yeah, I just don't really see the Leafs as that team. A
team that can't score on the back end?
Well, they do struggle with that, but we're talking about if let's just say Riley goes down, who runs your top power play? First of all, they might try the 5 forward thing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't against Tampa, but you never know. TJ Brody has run a power play.
Giordano
has run a power play. Liljegren can. Connor Timmins, if he's in the lineup, can. I don't really know if Hall's...
I get the same impression of Connor Timmins as I do with Gustafsson. A little bit. Same ilk. I don't say they're the exact same player, but there's they're both offensive with defensive warts.
Gustafsson is probably a better offensive defenseman, and Timmins is probably better at defense. And if you've watched Timmins recently and some of the decisions he's made...
Right. So then, big surprise. Steve, what do we always say about Kyle Dubas and his guys?
Kyle Dubas loves his guys.
Which is why this trade was so surprising. Pierre Engvall to the Islanders. Pierre Engvall was one of his guys. And what I mean by that is he is a darling of the Leafs development program. A guy that they took from, I think, relative obscurity and worked with for half a decade to get him to where he is in the NHL, which is a productive, smart NHL player. Great defensive metrics, at least for a guy who's a third, fourth liner. High expected goal counts, but at what point do you stop expecting and start seeing them?
Yeah,
because Engvall was a 2014 draft pick. I googled Leafs sign Kyle Dubas to see if Dubas was with the team when he was drafted. And what Google spat out was Sagittarius.
Cool.
Because I typed in Leafs sign Kyle Dubas.
I get it.
Google, you dumbass. That's not what I meant.
What does that mean for his March?
Just
it's going to be a good month.
What do they call it? I almost called regressive. What
retrograde.
The second round is in retrograde.
Yeah.
I don't think he was with the team yet. Jesus Christ. So that makes Pierre Engvall a Dave Notice draft pick.
Yeah.
He's been around for quite some time, 188th overall with all the raw tools in the world.
And size, speed, strength, all of it. And now he has all that for the Islanders. And that was an interesting one because that's a guy that is so, at least the perception is whether or not it's true. I said half a decade. If he's been a draft pick since 2014, this is almost 10 years this guy's been developing.
It was 4 years until he even showed up to the organization and played in the Calder Cup run in 2018. And the Islanders fans' reaction to this trade, I was like, my sweet summer child. Justin Bourne had a great breakdown. There's a reason that a guy who is 6'5", 215 pounds with a rocket shot and is the fastest guy on your team went for a third.
Yep.
It's not because the Leafs, I suppose it's in part because the Leafs are in a little bit of cap trouble, but this is an infuriating player. And the only thing I could see bringing his career to the next level is if the Islanders get to him. If Matt Martin and Casey Cizikas and Cal Clutterbuck and Ross Johnston and all these other guys who are just known for making your life miserable, if they can convince Pierre Engvall to have a mean bone in his body, then you've acquired an enormous problem for everybody else. But what you got is a defensively responsible forward who's probably going to cap out at somewhere between 15 and 20 goals. You can work on your penalty kill. He's reduced the amount of penalties he's taken. That used to be a big problem for him. Hard hitting, I saw some people say.
No, it's not.
Nope.
No.
Yeah,
Fighting,
I tweeted
nope.
at an Islanders fan who said that. I was like, listen, man, I hate to say this, but it's not even hard. It's not that he's light hitting. He's never hitting.
Yeah.
He's never hitting. He's got a good stick.
Will not use your body.
No.
And he's got a frame to do it.
I've been entirely disappointed with Pierre Engvall's era as a Toronto Maple Leaf because, as you outlined, he's a 6'5" player who never played like it. He never took advantage of his stature and the skills he had. And the Leafs organization spent all that time, those 7 years, trying to get that out of him. And we see this trade happen a million times where it's like a first-round pick who doesn't work out, and then the next team's like, we can fix him. And in this situation, it's not a first-round pick, but it's a guy who has all the talent, all the skill,
and all the physical gifts.
All the physical gifts. That's exactly it. And the next team, the New York Islanders, are like, we can get that out of him. And I think the Leafs spent so much time trying to do that. I don't know if it's ever going to work.
My family nickname, or not my family, but the family I married into, their nickname for him has been Eggs. Because if he took eggs into the corner, he'd come out with all 12.
They'd never break.
Yeah, they've called, whenever he scored, I'd just be tweeting them like egg emojis and stuff.
Oh my gosh. It's true. He's such a light player.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't play with any hard hitting.
But if he does switch that up, if he just gets mad,
this is the thing, right?
If somebody takes his sandwich lunch and he gets angry, watch out.
He's like the third player of this era where I'm like, the Leafs should just hire someone to fuck with his day. And
Who are the other two?
Put sand in his shoes and mustered up all his white shirts. And Freddie Gauthier, who was also 6'5" and the league's friendliest player.
And
the guy who Jesse literally wears his pants.
His gloves.
His glove? No, you have his pants, dude, don't you?
No.
Oh, you don't know whose pants it is.
Are Leafs.
You bought Freddie the Goat's gloves?
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show.
I forgot.
I buy my equipment from Pro Stock, like
look at Jesse's hands.
Used NHL equipment.
Makes
so
sense, yeah.
my pants are I don't know whose Leafs pants they are, but they're extra long, so they're one of the 6'4" and up players because I'm 6'4" and up.
Probably the goat.
And I have extra large gloves because my hands are huge.
That's
so,
hilarious.
I know my gloves are Freddie Gauthier's gloves because they still have his name stitched on.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I have hands that are so small I can still shop in the kids section.
Save a lot of money that way.
That's right. They say tiny hands, fatter wallet.
You got soft hands, brother.
So I've
seen those TikToks.
Yeah.
You got soft hands,
I have
brother.
a soft spot in my heart for Freddie Goat because he gave me my hockey gloves.
And
But
who was the other guy that you
he's
wanted?
the guy who didn't play with his size.
Not quite the same, but Kasperi Kapanen, who, how many times did I say, Kadri's not in the team anymore? You got
Go nuts.
You got all the runway to be the shithead. And then he fought Jared McCann, and I was like, sort of.
And then
keep going.
And then he threw a broken stick at the puck.
And then he bids. Cappy.
You love Cappy, but he's also fucking brain dead sometimes.
Just a beggar.
But I think we're doing is
So
kind of
talented.
illustrating the guys who are from at the top to the middle to the bottom six. You know, where that's the gap you have, and there's a lot of the bottom six players who just can't fully put it together, and that's why they play on the third and the fourth line.
Theo Fleury,
Guys who you can see why they were picked.
ridiculous political opinions aside, Theo Fleury played like he was 6'4" and he was like 5'7". There was a reason that people feared playing against him. And I think when you're 6'5", you at very least want people to say he plays like he's 6'5".
Well, and
he plays like he's 5'10".
There's players out there who Leaf fans are asking for that I'm reading, like Connor Garland is one, who's a little guy, and Travis Konechny, who I don't know about little, but he's the smaller side of average.
Well, yeah, it's like Mitch Marner's considered little, and he's 6'1".
No one believes me when I tell him that, but he is
taller than I am.
And but both of those guys play bigger than they are. Bunting. Bunting's like
Man, is Bunting 180 pounds? Like,
right.
He's maybe $180, $185, 5'10", 11.
Yeah, we're not even talking about like getting scraps all the time, like getting fights. Like Engvall didn't
throw the body once.
He didn't even drive the net enough.
He was,
like when those plays, like when you would see Engvall come from like the blue line or center ice to the goal line, just drive the net with all the force he had. That was impressive stuff, and he wouldn't do it consistently.
And he's in incredible shape.
Yeah,
from all accounts, he works hard off the ice, eats well, good person. Like there's a lot of great things to like about Engvall. There's a lot of things that Islanders fans can be excited about. And honestly, at 26, your skill is sort of what it is. I think a quick change of mindset, just a little bit of difference up here, upstairs, could unlock the rest of the potential that is Pierre Engvall. And that is doable mentally. You just have to change that. And that's the hardest part to change.
Yeah. But
some players
if
find
a team could do it, I think it could be the Islanders.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Hall found his stride when he was 27, 28 years old, right? Or 26 when he made his debut with the Leafs. Like he wasn't.
And this is a guy that I think Lou would have GM'd.
Yeah.
He would have been in the Leafs organization when Lou was there.
Was sitting him.
Yeah, he would know all about him. Now, what struck me as strange about the deal, because the Islanders are not in a guaranteed playoff spot, is the deal is a hard buy. The Islanders give up a draft pick for a pending UFA, which I didn't realize he was a pending UFA. I thought he was that old.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. And
they are in a playoff spot right now.
They are in a playoff spot right now? Okay. Which, I mean, with no Barzal, that's pretty cool. I would not be shocked to see Lou extend this guy. Wouldn't be shocked. But I mean, I don't think it makes much sense to lose him for nothing. But it's a third-round pick.
Right.
Yeah. The Leafs basically swap him and Shen. Basically. So,
well, and so this brings us to our next thing.
Dermott.
And Dermott.
As you said in your video.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, like, hey, wouldn't it have been more valuable to keep a guy like Pierre on the roster? It depends.
They couldn't.
But you do trade a third for Luke Shen. And Luke Shen is back in Toronto, everybody.
Oh, my God.
Now, apparently he had interest in rejoining Toronto and then ended up signing in Tampa and winning 2 Stanley Cups. So maybe he made the right choice there.
Mm-hmm.
But Sportsnet stats this morning. Luke Shen last played for the Leafs on April 7th, 2012. If he plays tonight, he will have had the 6th largest gap between games played for the Maple Leafs in franchise history, which is just under 4,000 days, 3,980 days.
The other ones, do you have them?
They do not.
I would have loved to know.
Me too.
The top 5.
I know. That's what I want to. This is where they. Like, where's the follow-up tweet on that?
Right.
Come on,
Gilmore. That's a fantastic list.
Where are the Sportsnet stats people on Threads?
Got to be Gilmore.
A thread.
Yeah.
Right?
Dougie's definitely one.
Wendell Clark's probably up there.
No, he was never away from the team long enough.
That's true.
Yeah, no.
Oof. Dave Keelan?
Kessel when he comes back.
Curtis Joseph?
Yeah, Kessel when he comes back. Curtis Joseph for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Thomas, 80s and late 90s.
Oh, maybe.
He was a Leafs draft pick. He played for the Leafs in the mid 80s and then came back and played with Sundin.
That might be number 1.
Sundin and Modine in like 80 or 98, 99.
Ty Domi?
Domi was a draft pick. Yeah, he could be up there. There was a lot of guys in the late 80s that the Leafs were like, you know what? We did a pretty good job drafting you.
Yeah.
Let's bring him back.
Come back.
Yeah, come on back. Drake Barahowski might be too, because they drafted him super high, and then he came back as like a depth ad at one of the deadlines.
Luke Richardson? Possibly.
Oh, maybe that was Luke Richardson. I don't know. Either way, it's a, it was
both.
Probably some goofy list. And here's the thing. He played 4 seasons in Toronto, 2008 to the end of 2012. Before being traded to the Flyers in exchange for James Van Riemsdyk. And people are saying on Twitter, it would be funny if the Leafs flipped Luke Shen for JVR, who is up on the trading block with the Flyers right now.
Yeah.
It would be hilarious to repeat that trade. And it would be somewhat fair value, I guess, but it's definitely not necessarily what the Leafs need.
JVR has a spot in the lineup. Like, if they go and they acquired him, there's a place for him on the wing.
Well, on the fourth line, and you put him on the power play and let him stand in front of the net. Tip shit. Just tip shit. His tip, they missed, their power play missed him for like a solid 18 months after he was gone. Well, remember all the tips?
He was automatic.
He was crazy.
I did this in the video yesterday, but it bears repeating. The first game Luke Shen ever played as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was, thank you, Hockey Reference, by the way, October 9th, 2008.
I'm surprised you didn't just remember it yourself.
Yeah, me too.
Disappointed a little
the
bit.
Leafs beat the defending Stanley Cup champion, Detroit Red Wings, 3-2.
Woo!
With goals from Pavel Kabina, Dominic Moore, assisted by Alex Steen and Jonas Frogren, and Nikolai Kulemin, I believe his first NHL goal.
Kulemin.
This is the team. Nick Antropov, Jason Blake, Carlo Koliakovo, who's currently on TSN, Jonas Frogren, Mikhail Grabowski, who frequently does features with Jeff Merrick, Nicholas Hagman, Thomas Caberlet, who literally drives Uber, Pavel Kubina, Nikolai Kulemin, Jamal Mayers, who is my coworker, John Mitchell, Dominic Moore, Alexei Ponikarovsky, Luke Shen, who I believe is the only player still in the NHL on this team, Matt Stajan, Alex Steen, Yuri Talusti, Mike Van Ryn, and the starting goalie for that game, Vesa Toskala.
Who's the backup?
Fuck if I know.
Wow.
Is Luke Shen the only player still in the NHL from that roster?
He's the only one that I see.
Yeah, I think so.
Holy crap.
I mean, it's 2008. It's a long time
Like
ago.
Kuhlman's still playing pro in the KHL.
I think, yeah.
I think so. I'm even looking like is anyone from the Red Wings still playing? Nope. None of them. Luke Shen is the only player from that game
Wow.
still playing in the NHL. There's a couple guys playing pro in Europe, but that's it.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, he would have been the youngest player in the league too. He was 18.
Yeah, and that was he came at a time when the unfortunate part about the Luke Shen story in Toronto is there's a lot of expectation placed on him very early, and then and Toronto media did a lot of this, and I think Toronto fans played into it, and I think the Leafs did themselves no favor when they did this. The names that came through town at that time: Jason Allison, Jason Blake, Pavel Kubina, Hal Gill. Luke Shen, and then later on, Lupul and Kessel, and who was
Komisarek.
and Dion Phaneuf. They were good players in a system that they came from, but what the Leafs did is they brought them in and made them the player, and then put no system around them, and had no organizational structure. You have to remember at the time, like the Leafs have 4 or 5 pretty good prospects, pretty good. The Leafs had 0 prospects for like 15 fucking years. They couldn't develop anything.
Well, even the best young players I mentioned on the team, they got rid of them.
Oh yeah,
Talusti, Steen, Kolyakovo.
Steen was a good one. Talusti had a couple good years in Carolina.
Yeah.
Steen had a 40-goal season in St. Louis. Had a good career there.
Kuhlman stuck around a little bit. That was it.
And that's the thing. Like it was a shame what happened with Luke Shen. And then you mentioned in the video too that they were like, "You're going to be the next Chris Pronger, so get bigger." And the NHL was getting smaller and faster.
Yeah.
And then so the mobility went away.
It was bad. Like he got really, really big. And the Shens, I think I've told this story before. The Shens do not have trouble putting on weight. It's, there's different body types and everything. And I remember asking Braden Shen about this at the, it was Team Canada Camp Summer 2010 in Newfoundland. And I told him that Cody Eakin, who was also at that camp, who was this little bone rack, was on a 3,000 calorie a day diet. And Braden looked at me with murder in his eyes and heart because he and his brother Luke can't do that. Because it's easy for them. They're
3,000 calories. That's it.
They're Saskatchewan farm boys. I know. Maybe it should have been more. Well, I've heard about players like Filatov ate till he puked. Because he was told to.
Michael Phelps, the swimmer, was on a 10,000 calorie per day diet. 10,000.
I think I've told this before too, but there was a guy who we called AAA. He worked at the Garden Center with my friends, but he was a really good hockey player and he played AAA. And he got a tryout with an OHL team.
Oh yeah,
and they liked him, and they said, "We need you to put on 30 pounds, though," which is unbelievable.
For a teenager, that's almost impossible.
Yeah, so. All he would do is eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. So every break he took, put down a few bags for some customers, eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. Here's the problem. He was eating at a garden center.
So he's just getting jacked.
No.
Losing all his weight.
What was he eating? From the vending machine?
No. He was like, they would just have a bench and he would eat on that bench. He wasn't putting on any weight.
Because he was sweating it out.
Goes to the doctor, tapeworm.
No!
Oh my God. Oh, that's awful.
I just thought he was just doing a lot of manual labor.
Yeah, he's like, what's going on here? They're like, you have a tapeworm.
Oh, man.
Holy fuck.
He couldn't gain any weight. He ended up playing university. Like, he was still a really good player, but
damn.
They're like, put on 30 pounds. Okay. Best I can do is 0. Tapeworm.
So, I think a lot of people, throw the question out there now. And I think the answer is obvious, but I think it's worth asking anyway. Where does this leave the Leafs now? So, firstly, there's a few questions that go underneath that one question. Number one, do the Leafs have another move in them?
I think so. I haven't. Listen, I think I did pretty well with my predictions. I got McCabe and Laverty, Sandin heading out the door. I am totally in the dark. I have absolutely no clue.
Somebody said that I called the Shen trade.
Did you?
I don't think so.
Oh.
But I really appreciated that. They wanted me to be a part of the Call It a Club.
Adam, compliments.
I'll take the compliment section. Thank you, compliment section.
They're out in full force.
Thank you, compliment section.
Throw one out there.
I said on Twitter yesterday, because here's the only position they haven't upgraded, and arguably it's the position that they walk into the season the weakest at, is goaltending. So my guess, Thatcher Demko. The Leafs have had good chats with the Vancouver Canucks. Now, I was texting back and forth to somebody today, and they're like, why would it be Thatcher Demko? They've already done a deal with Vancouver. And I'm like, because there's other offers on the table for Thatcher Demko. Yeah. And they couldn't include him in the Shen deal, and the Leafs didn't want to pay the price, and they're having to wait.
Also,
that's my guess.
You might be able to afford something on Friday that you can't afford today.
Right.
And we've seen the Leafs go back to the well with a team multiple times in a deadline. They did that 2016 with the Sharks.
Yep.
They gave them Polak, I think. And then like a week or two later, they did Reimer. Or I might be getting the order mixed up, but that's what they did.
Yeah, so it can happen. So Jesse, if you were to, I think we're all in the dark. I think you said it perfectly, Steve. It's like, who the hell knows? Jesse, if you were to make a guess.
Of what the Leafs are going to do? I don't like
something. That many defensemen seems odd.
Oh, it's extremely odd. Well, it's not odd. It's they can't do it. And all their so much of their cap situation is wrapped up in LTIR.
Off the phone, Steve. Off the phone. There's something I'm going to break.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to keep you focused on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One thing I'm trying to take a look at. That's not even
what I was trying to do.
I know, but I want you to, something just happened and I want to wait.
One thing I'm trying to take a look at is just what possible goaltenders are out there. Thatcher Demko's one. I don't know. Martin Jones isn't one. I'm just looking at the UFA list. Philip Gustafson, Minnesota kind of thinks they're still in it. He's an RFA.
There's no reason for them to let go of him.
No. Talbot.
Fleury,
yeah.
No, an option. Minnesota just added.
Yeah, James Reimer.
They just added Gus Nyquist.
Oh, now we're talking.
I was writing down the list and it's very light.
What about Karel Vejmelka, Steve?
That's an option for sure.
Why couldn't that be an option?
Why couldn't it be?
It is.
Imagine, yeah, I was about to say, but like Joseph Woll. No, if you can get Karel Vejmelka and like extend restricted free agent Ilya Samsonov, you could do worse than that tandem. And Woll's got an NHL deal, and if he wants to get traded, trade him. That's a great tandem.
Anthony Stolars?
I wouldn't.
Go to Anaheim, take him.
Like, can they afford a significant upgrade? Like, who
I think Matt Murray has to be a salary going the other way. The reason I bring up Vejmelka is that I feel like, okay, you trade Matt Murray's salary plus the first, plus whatever. I don't even know if you do another plus and you get Vejmelka. Or you go to Vancouver and say, listen, we got to make the salaries work. Murray's a UFA after the end of this. You guys are rebuilding next year. We'll take Demko.
He's got another year, right?
Yeah.
Who, Murray?
Murray, yeah.
One more year.
Murray's signed through next year.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So he's a free agent after next year. But
you said he's a free agent after this.
Sorry, I meant that they're punting next year, as in like next year Vancouver cannot expect to be a playoff team. So
this is Vancouver.
I mean, they'll have a goalie.
37-year-old Thomas Greiss is an option.
No,
please no,
absolutely not. Please no.
I mentioned Reimer already. Steve likes that.
Greiss is 37.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Korpisalo, and then LA took him.
Like, is Craig Anderson an option if Buffalo falls off?
No, I think Buffalo won't sell just to reward their team, right?
I don't think they should.
There's just not a lot out there in terms of goaltending, but I think that'd be your last kind of, just if you can do a 5% upgrade on your goaltending, you kind of try and do it.
Well, and you can't, Wool's been good, but it's a wing and a prayer, right? He's a young guy. Murray is, according to one of my text messages, and I won't reveal who, made of oatmeal. And like, no, but really, the guy's injured all the time. And he played a good 19 games here, but he's played 40 games the last 2 seasons. Total.
You know what? Oh boy.
Sometimes your body just breaks down, man.
Yeah, man. Like
look what happened to Carlo Koliakovo. There's another guy whose body just quit on him.
well, fuck. He had some bad luck too.
He sure did.
I still
so did
remember
Matt Murray.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he wasn't extremely talented.
Matt Murray is too much of an unknown for me to feel totally comfortable.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, I mean,
You may not have a choice.
you may not have a choice and you can't live your life in fear. Like, okay, Leafs play Tampa best of 7. It's Vasilevsky.
Mm-hmm.
Vasilevsky hurts himself in warm-up game 1.
Mm-hmm.
Leafs 7-game series, Brian Elliott. You telling me their chances don't go up a bit?
A little.
Just a
Brian
bit.
Elliott's been decent.
He's been decent, but it's Andrei
It's better.
Vasilevsky.
It's better.
It's Andrei Vasilevsky.
Dom would have the exact percentage on that, but I'm sure
Yeah.
there would be significant movement.
Yeah, I mean, Leafs, they had that playoff series against the Sabres years ago. And they should have fucking won the Steve Shields game because the rest of them are Hasek.
So here's the thing, guys. The thing that I think about the goaltender position is I don't see why the Leafs would nibble around the edges. Like, I can understand why Leafs Nation is thinking that way because every other deadline other than this one, they've sort of nibbled around the edges. Here, well, we're going to get Lyubushkin. We're going to get... Well,
that deal was fine.
It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it, but I'm saying they have just brought in major pieces. This is major surgery 20 games before the playoffs. And that's a good thing. These are all great additions. I'm sure they'll figure it out in the last 20 games, but Sheldon Keefe has a job in front of him. It's going to be real tough to figure out all this chemistry in 20 games, but they're going to have to do it. Why would they then go and nibble around the edges in goaltending? If you're going to swing, fucking swing. And I think with Samsonov, he's had a great year, but he's looking tired. So even if he is your game 1 starter, why wouldn't you want somebody who can come in and play 10 to 12 of the next 20 games?
Why not make that someone Woll? Like,
I mean, have you seen enough from him to believe that he's
no,
ready?
that's why they should play him.
Well, you got 2 days to figure it out now.
Sounds like they should have played him more.
I think this was
the whole criticism with that Chicago game.
I think this plan was decided a while ago, and I think we have our answer, which is the Leafs are attempting to get a goaltender.
You think so?
If they were seriously giving that guy an audition, he would have played against Chicago.
They're being real mum about it. I mean, he could go the other way in a deal. I hope not.
I hope not too, but it could happen.
They have lots of prospects too.
Totally. Now it seems
lots of goalie prospects. I mean,
barring that next trade, if it happens aside, let's just put that aside for a second. As it stands with the 6 new guys, it seems as though Dubas has done everything he can to get them over the hump. If the Leafs have a responsibility, if we're going to lay the responsibility at somebody's feet to get them past the first round, I'm not going to say, well, if they lose the first round, whose responsibility is it now to get them past that hump?
The players, man. The players. Leafs fans, what would you do differently? You know what I mean? So, like,
I haven't seen a Leaf fan yet who's upset with any of this.
No.
They're all happy.
No, but so I want them to remember that if, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it's disaster in April, I mean, games 1 through 7, however many there are, I mean, that will be a story that obviously we can't predict. You never know. So
that's why you play the games.
I might be thrilled about it at the end. I might be screaming about it at the end. But if it's just the Leafs play a good series and lose,
that's not good enough.
I'm just going to be completely dejected. It's not good enough, but like,
if they play a good
series, what
else
should they have done?
They've always played a good series.
Can I get a little more specific on who needs to show up with the players?
Tell us.
Oh, the last 2 seasons, it's been the offense. It's been the forward group. In Montreal, they had that in the bag if they score any kind of goals.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If they put up just 3 more goals in any of those games to close it out, they win that. The defense was great. Last year, defense fantastic. Nobody thought Jack Campbell would show up, and he did. He out-battled Andrei Vasilevsky in many of those games. The defense was perfectly fine, and then in Game 7, once again, the offense completely disappeared. Nobody showed up.
That first round Tampa Leafs series got him the 5th year.
Yeah,
contract.
100%.
If I'm not mistaken, the Leafs have outscored their playoff opponent in the last 2 rounds.
Well, and so
disgusting.
Okay, so then
I just like to see a little bit more from some of the Stars individuals had great series versus Tampa and Montreal.
Yeah.
But as a whole, if they get a couple more goals, which they should be able to, they win both those rounds. So this year, I don't want that to be the failing of the team. Well, that'll be 3 years.
And in Montreal, don't forget that he plays in LA now. What's his freaking name? Danault.
Philip Danault.
Once Tavares went down, Danault shut down Marner Matthews. And last year, Marner Matthews were right back into form. They had a spectacular series. William Nylander always shows up in the playoffs. That guy is fucking money in the playoffs.
Nobody tells him that the playoffs are happening.
I know.
He just kind of does his normal game.
He's money, man. He had 5 goals against the Habs, 4 goals against Tampa. Like, he was amazing.
He's been good.
But what I thought, and I think it was Kevin Papetti that brought this up on Twitter, and I went back and looked, and I was like, oh, that's true. Is their third line really disappeared last year. And I know that sounds like, oh, their third line, fucking, you know that against a team like Tampa, a team that's known for their third line and known for their fourth line and how effective they are, that third line scoring punch and that grit that team has always in those positions really matters. Tampa Stars showed up, Toronto Stars showed up. The goaltenders showed up, the defenses showed up. The difference to me is Brandon Hagel, is Yanni Gourde. No, Yanni Gourde was already gone by then. Who else would be?
Wait, last year? Or
yeah,
last
year. Last year.
Last year they had Brandon Hagel, Ross Colton, Nick Paul,
like those guys.
Corey Perry,
but that's more fourth line. But yes,
sure. Maroon Belmar.
What you're saying is they have an identity for those lines. The Leafs hadn't figured that out yet, and I think going into this offseason, are you really going to expect a guy like Pierre Engvall to pot goals for you? And I just don't think you do.
Yeah, that's why I want to see Ryan O'Reilly on the third line.
I think you're going to see it. I think you're going to see it.
They don't have the wing depth for it.
Oh, I think they might now.
Who plays with O'Reilly? This is what I keep hammering, right? Like, playoffs start today. It's Kerfoot, Yarncroke.
Kerfoot, Yarncroke.
Oh, actually, no, because you're going to put one of them up with Tavares.
Yeah, somebody's got to be on the left side. Or Kerfoot.
Please, Yarncroke.
Okay, then Yarncroke.
Please, God, Yarncroke. So then it's Kerfoot, O'Reilly, and
Camp.
Fart.
And maybe...
get out of here.
You don't... I don't know.
Honestly, sometimes...
I think it adds some dynamics to the forward group.
Leaf fans are hard on Kerfoot, and I can understand the argument that he is actually a useful player. But I don't think...
It's a math problem.
I don't think Leaf fans are dumb. I think sometimes with Kerfoot, sometimes it's like where offense goes to die. He can skate like the wind. But then... you see him on a fourth line role, like he had the other night, and he's spectacular.
Yeah.
I think the Leafs have just put him in a position where he's not going to succeed.
I can't remember who it was, but they basically said the line of, I think they briefly had a line of Kerfoot, Kampf, and Engvall. And it's a great line to throw out there if you just need nothing to happen.
Yeah.
If you're winning and you just need nothing to happen.
I need the next 45 seconds to be predictable.
Not even shut down necessarily. Just nothing. Just kicking and clunking the puck around for 45 seconds. All right, get off. Eric Lindros is rattling the door and telling you to get the fuck off or I'm going to bench you.
Can Dubas not go get a left winger for that role in the next 4 to 8 hours?
Well, maybe Connor Garland.
He's got to be an improvement and you got to be able to afford him. And that is the biggest, I haven't even seen like a Puckpedia or a Cap Friendly be like, so here's what they can do. Like, I have no idea.
It's so complicated because it depends entirely on what they move in and out is what they can do.
Can everyone please keep their temper tonight and tomorrow against the Oilers and Flames? If any of you get suspended, that we're gonna have a talking.
Do you want to go over to Adams? Do you have to talk with Leafs Nation?
No.
Is it that serious?
No.
What? We don't need to talk.
Okay,
we don't need to talk.
Okay.
And also, I can't do a talk right now.
Okay. No, this isn't. This is just a warning. It's not a talk. You're not in trouble.
No.
Just next time, we might have to have a talk.
If there's a suspension, you're gonna fuck up the cap situation, and we can't have that. It's funny. Adam and I were watching Sportsnet before you got here, and Elliot coughed in the middle of his interview.
Oh yeah,
we're like, yeah, he's sick too.
He's working so hard.
I haven't seen him in person in months.
Honestly,
so it wasn't
there were people in the compliment section who always were like, "What the fuck? These guys are sick again." And it's like, again, I will tell you, if you have children, you're going to be sick for 5 years. As soon as they start daycare, You're sick for 5 years straight.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
So Adam's got a kid in kindergarten, and I got a kid in
Well, almost in kindergarten.
and I got a kid.
Yeah, so I got a
gonna be
couple more
fun.
years.
September when she goes to her first day of kindergarten. Oh,
Very
are you
excited.
gonna cry? I might cry.
Are you coming?
It's
You
gonna
want to come
be
for the
so
first
cute. I
day?
can
Walk
go,
it? Yeah, if you want to.
yeah.
She loves Uncle Jesse.
Oh,
Loves Uncle Jesse.
Leo's reached the age where, excuse me, where he tells stories that are made up.
Oh, yeah, Everly's right in the middle of that.
what?
Right in the middle of that.
Yeah, I kind of want to
I talked to my therapist about that, actually.
stories that are made up.
Well, I was like, she's saying a lot of stuff, and he's like, okay. And this is why I'm glad I have a therapist, because before Everly was born, he's like, listen, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you some advice, and you have to follow this. Stay off of the mom and dad Facebook groups.
Oh my god!
Stay away from the if you don't do this, you're a bad parent, or do this, you're a bad parent. He's like, parenting in this day and age is about guilt. Avoid that. Remember that children, not everything needs to be an educational exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Children literally have the tools to mimic your behavior. So what you need to do is behave well, and they'll be fine. So fast forward, what were we just talking about? The
Children. She's making up stories.
Oh, so I talked to him like, okay, I'm like, Joe, like, what do I, like, she's saying these things, and I don't know where this is coming from. And he's like, well, you have to remember that at this age, about 95% of what they say and the world around them is fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Total fantasy.
Oh yeah,
It's completely made up. And he said, so she's just expressing whatever's going through her head at that moment, and don't read into it.
So she just tells stories about things that never happened.
oh yeah. So here, I'm gonna play into the mic. No video. I'm gonna play into the mic a story that Leo told that starts based in truth and then becomes completely made up. It's about his nanny and granda who are on vacation right now.
Are they actually?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They are actually on vacation, and it starts truthful and then it gets very toddlery.
At Florida.
Where's that?
Nanny's at Florida.
You miss her?
No. I miss her.
Yes, you do.
I miss Brenda.
Aww.
He was sad. Because he didn't get macaroni.
Oh, okay.
So his grandfather was sad because he didn't get macaroni.
Oh,
That's why.
I don't think that happened.
And I was just busting a gut laughing at the idea of my father-in-law, a grizzled Scotsman, bursting into tears because he didn't get macaroni.
No, sometimes it's total fucking fantasy.
I guess Leo's thinking about something that would make him sad.
Yeah.
And he applied that to his grandfather.
Just the way he says it now, he was sad.
By the way, the Washington Capitals have traded their OT winning Stanley Cup goal scoring guy,
Hero person.
Lars Eller, to the Avalanche for
31%
retained salary on that, by the way, for a 2025 second rounder.
Colorado's going to win it again.
Yeah, they got another playoff gamer.
You know what?
That's why I didn't want you to look at your phone.
That is...
That's not a bad deal for the Avs.
Okay, this is bad. Who did Eller play for?
Washington.
So he's still on Washington?
Yeah.
I know he's fallen off a bit. That's a good return for
Still a
Washington.
gamer, right? It's like Corey Perry. Fell off a bit, but you want him for the playoffs.
I think he'll be just fine on Washington. Colorado, sorry.
Should we talk to the man who's been waiting?
The man who's been waiting.
DB, David Bastel.
Oh, well, hold on. I do. Okay. Let's talk to Dave, but I have some Leafs questions on the other end of it.
Okay.
Let's go.
You can bet that with David Bastel. Brought to you by Sports Interaction. Get in the action and make a play. 19 plus. Please play responsibly.
All right. As excited to do this segment as ever with Dave from Customer Service. Dave, thank you for joining us.
I'm here 24/7, 365.
Yes, you are. If you're listening, he's got the white collared shirt, unbuttoned at the top, so it's a little sexy. And then he's got the earphones with the microphone attached to them.
Yeah, it looks like you're about to call a good CFL game.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You know,
I like
you're
it.
in the broadcast booth.
I like
It's in Saskatchewan.
And
you
the
know?
pen. He's got the pen.
He's a local legend in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. Dave, there is some exciting stuff. I love this. The Pinata picks. Anybody talks about Sports Interaction, like my brother-in-law the other day is like, man, The thing about them is those pinata picks are the best. They're the best. So tell us what you got on your next pinata pick, because this one's fun.
Yeah, we got a couple of them. We'll get to the one we're going to talk about right away, but I wanted to just add on for tonight. This is kind of a cool one. On the front page of the Sports Interaction site, it's shots on goal pinata, 500 to 1. You get the Oilers and the Maple Leafs. So something to consider there. 500 to 1 is fantastic. But the one I wanted to talk to you about today is probably our hottest one. And it's all because of what's happened over the weekend with a goaltender scoring a goal. It's always big news on social media. So we've put out next NHL goalie to score a goal. So what our Lines group have done, every single goalie that's registered a minute of ice time this year in that pinata, you bang on the pinata at 80 to 1 and it spits out a goalie. So I thought, hey, are you guys interested in doing it today? And we'll see what goalies we get.
So if there isn't another goalie goal for like 3 years, will this stay on your account for 3 years?
The bet's live, Steve. Yes,
the bet's live.
Yes. It might be the longest futures bet ever.
Yeah, jeez.
But it is live.
I'm doing it right now.
What do you get?
Okay.
Alexander Georgiev from the Colorado Avalanche.
You got a starter, which is better than you could have done.
That's good.
All right.
So that's going to be my pick. I didn't even $2 Steve that. I just $1'd it because I wasn't sure.
$1.
Yeah. I just got Philip Grubauer.
Oh, hey, okay. I can. You know what? I can see that.
Maybe
because
on his
weird
own.
things are happening with the Kraken this year.
Yeah. I think the guy you want is Igor Shesterkin because he very openly wants it.
Yeah.
He wants a goalie goal. Bad.
It's a good
That's
pick.
actually a good point. We've seen him do that many times, right? As soon as that opposition net is pulled, he's like, "Give me the puck."
Yeah.
So
Jeremy
80 to
Swayman
1,
hit the
80 to 1.
post. I think the Bruins almost had both goalies score a goal this year.
That's that'd be a first time.
That's crazy. Oh, one more thing, guys, for tonight. I added on that Zach Hyman hat trick prop at 50 to 1. I just thought, because you guys are big Zach guys.
I'm gonna have to take that now. God,
50 to 1 is real good.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. The McGoals prop bet, which is still up, by the way. I have it. I think I bet between 61 and 65 goals. I'm pretty sure that's my. I actually can check that right now.
Check your bets.
And I know 65 and 70 goals. Connor McDavid.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Connor
that's pretty
McDavid
good.
has 50 as of now. You would think after tonight, with the Leafs on a Western Road swing and 6 new players in the lineup, he'll have a couple more. And it's getting it's closely creeping.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I'm just saying, man.
About 20 games left for them.
Yeah,
That's a
21.
lot.
21. So you got to think 18 at least.
Want to hear how bad I screwed up?
What'd you pick?
Fire.
So I made my bet. It was $2 on January 13th. So it was a month and a half ago. And I'm like, you know what? He's great. He's the best player in the world, but he's going to slow down. I put 50 to 55.
No! Betting against Connor McDavid.
I am
By the way,
boned.
Connor McDavid tonight to score a single goal, a 195. A
Oh, my
single
God.
goal. I'm just throwing it out there.
Those are
NHL
fantastic
NHL
odds.
props. Yeah, check it out.
I love that. I love
2
that.
to 1.
You have
for
any
McDavid to
things
score a goal?
for the Leafs there, Dave? Jeez.
It's almost as though he's a fan of another franchise
Oh,
that wears blue. Can you believe it? Hey, Dave,
The
thanks
color
so
blue
much.
is awesome. Yeah.
We will see you Monday, man. And obviously, there'll be a whole bunch of stuff relating to trade deadline and that sort of thing. SportsInteraction.com/SDPN. Download the Sports Interaction app. It's in the QR code in the corner of the screen. Dave, we'll see you next week.
Happy to be of service.
A couple of weeks ago, if you'd asked yourself, based on the competition in the division, this is my one last couple questions, okay, about the Leafs, and then we'll move on because there's other trades, other big news.
no.
Believe it or not, they were not the top story yesterday throughout hockey.
What?
I know. A couple of weeks ago,
That was my
with
Steve
the
Dangle
roster that
impression.
they had, could you guys honestly say the Leafs were going to win the Stanley Cup? A couple of weeks ago.
So this is prior to the O'Reilly deal?
Everything.
I mean, anyone can. No.
You wouldn't be able to confidently be like,
Not confident.
because anything can happen and they have a good shot. That's what I would have said. But
You're saying
I'm not saying confidently now that they could, but I feel far more confident about it than I did 2 weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago, they have a shot at the Stanley Cup.
They for sure have a shot.
We see superstars like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang and whoever they have in net that year and the rest of the lineup take whatever they have and go to the Stanley Cup final and win. So that could be
Zach Aston Reese.
Ron Hainsey is a first pairing defenseman. Luke Schenn is a first pairing defenseman.
So you could there's scenarios where Mitch Marner and William Nylander and John Tavares and Matthews and Riley take the rest of the group and they drag them to the Stanley Cup final. That's entirely possible. So you can't say they don't have a shot.
And I didn't say that.
Okay.
But I'm feeling far more confident about it now.
Yes.
So my question, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think what I'm seeing more this deadline is team fan bases sinking into a playoff mindset. We all look at that Tanner Jeannot trade with Tampa and we're like, you're out of your fucking minds. And then we look at the projected lineup and we're like, fuck, I don't want anything to do with that.
Well, and I think that's probably why the Luke Schenn deal happens, is if Tanner Jeannot is going to play your third pairing defenseman a lot, you probably want Luke Schenn to grind back.
Well, like
you need somebody to bite back.
He's going to be forechecking and against the guy digging the puck out of the corner. And the guy digging the puck out of the corner is like 230 pounds.
Yeah.
So have fun.
Now, I asked that question to ask you this. How do you think Tampa's front office feels and thinks right now? Let's say we were to freeze the rosters, trade deadline's over. There is no STPN trade deadline show. This is where it ends right now. How's Tampa feeling?
Confident.
Tired hands.
Tired hands.
Yeah, well, they got to carry around all those rings, you see.
I'm serious. How do you think they look at that first round matchup?
I think Julian Breezewell is very confident in that team.
They're confident.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't just make it into a team better suited for the playoffs and a long run in the playoffs. They made it into a team better suited to beat the Leafs. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, you get a little tougher, right?
You get a little tougher.
And then if you have to play Boston, if you're Tampa, you're trying to out Boston, basically.
Oh, yeah.
That's tough. Tough call.
What a war. Like just trio of teams.
Whoever faces whoever, it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, like I try to say this every year. There are no easy paths to the Stanley Cup. And one somewhat perceivable easy path to the Stanley Cup was available a couple of years ago, and the Leafs lost in the first round.
Boston versus Pittsburgh seems a little easier than what Toronto's going to face.
Yeah.
I've
Carolina versus the Islanders seems a little harder, but still.
I've pulled up Tampa Bay's Game 1 lineup from last year.
Okay.
Not much has changed.
No.
Why should they be scared at all of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
And I wondered that. I wondered if they changed their if the moves that Dubas has made them go, okay, maybe we need to match him, trade for trade, but maybe they don't feel like that because they already had a freaking sick team.
I can read it off for you guys if you're curious. This was May of last year. It was Palat, Stamkos, Kucherov.
So they lose Palat.
Hagel, Point, Cirelli, Killorn, Colton, Paul, Maroon, Belmar, Perry. That compares to right now Killorn, Point, Kucherov, Hagel, Cirelli, Stamkos, Jeannot, Paul, Colton, Maroon, Belmar, Perry. It's like two guys that have switched on the forward group. And then in defense, Hedman, Ruda.
Who? Noted Alan Walsh Klein.
Jan Ruda.
So they're without
no longer
him.
there.
Ryan McDonough, Eric Chernak.
Without McDonough.
Sergachev, Cal Foote.
Without Cal Foote. So that's actually significant change.
Hedman, Bogosian. Sergachev, Perbix. Cole, Chernak.
Man, so I know Perbix is having a good start to his NHL career. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's so Tampa. I've never heard of this human being, and he's good. That's so Tampa. It's frustrating. I don't know has Ian Cole ever won a cup?
Pittsburgh.
Was he with Colorado last year? I kind of feel like he was.
Ian Cole, DB.
It's hard to keep up.
Yeah. He was on Pittsburgh from 14 through 18.
Oh, so he would have had 17 and 18.
Yeah.
I mean, 16 and 17.
16 and 17, yeah. He was traded in 18. But yeah, he would have 16 and 17. Yep.
He played 49 playoff games in 2 years. Holy shit.
Those two rosters. Awesome.
110 career playoff games.
He's perfect lightning.
Damn it.
Yeah, really.
Like, fuck.
225. Fuck off. Like, get on with it. What? Give me this fucking series. Can you opt out of the rest of the regular season? Get to it and watch these two slam into each other for 4 to 7 games and a winner pops out.
The NHL would be perfect if it was, first off, seeded 1 to 8 on both sides. Not that it would change the Toronto-Tampa matchup, but I would love to not be locked in. And then the second one I think would be perfect is if the NHL season was 60 games. 60 games would be
No, you know me.
The last 20 games.
If you make your living on hockey, how dare you ask
No,
for
we
a
want
shorter
100
season?
regular season games.
No. As a fan, I totally get it, but no, we're too committed to the shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
we can't do it.
Now we got budgets.
The Rangers
we got
might
a fucking
pass.
payroll, man.
The Rangers might pass the Lightning in the conference standings, and Lightning might end up the 6th seed. So it would have been nice to see Toronto.
It would have been.
Yeah, but then you're getting the Rangers. Like, that's a nightmare matchup too.
Toronto, New York, I win either way.
Fuck, you're right.
Either my Stanley Cup pick wins or my favorite team.
You're totally right.
So I'm just thinking about me.
And you know what, Jesse? That's what we're here for. It's really about this. FDP is about what Jesse Blake wants and needs.
Yeah,
I think, right? Don't you say?
Let's go.
100%.
Patty Kane.
Yeah, and speaking of New York Rangers, Patrick Kane, the deal is done, and people are upset about the return Chicago got. Remember, it's a second and a fourth, but it's a conditional second. If New York wins 2 rounds, then it turns into a first.
Pretty sure I called that too.
You might have. Patrick Kane said, you had to remember this, though. Like, people are like, well, what a weak return for Patrick Kane. And people are blaming on the injury. Remember how a no-trade clause works, guys. Trade me to New York, and New York only, is what he said to the Blackhawks. And the Blackhawks said, hey, you want to do something? And New York said, here's what we have. If you don't like it, then don't get any assets for Patrick Kane when he signs somewhere else this summer. Because here's the other thing that you probably don't know. The Blackhawks, apparently, had they offered him an extension, he would have signed it. But they have made the decision they're moving on.
What good would that have done?
I know, but I'm just saying that Patrick Kane wanted to stay there. So if he's not going to be there, he's going to say, okay, fine, I'm going to New York. Now he reunites him with Panarin, and let's walk through this goofy forward lineup for the New York Rangers. Okay?
It's
First
so
line,
stupid.
Jesse's just going to be just Mr. Burnsing it over there. Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, and Vladimir Tarasenko. Just evil.
Oh,
that was,
I was picturing when he was dancing through the power plant.
I like that too.
Him and Smithers were charged with running the whole thing.
Right, or when he was an alien.
Oh.
Remember when he gets, he gets... Hello.
Yes.
Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, Vladimir Tarasenko. Artemi Panarin, Vinny Trocheck, Barclay Goodrow, Lafreniere, Hedel, Capo Caco, and then VC Carpenter and Tyler Mott. And let me throw this out there.
That's without Kane in there, though.
That's without Kane. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine that Artemi Panarin, Vinny Trocheck, and Patrick Kane are the second line. And then Lafreniere, Hedel, Goodrow. And then you move down. I don't know if Caco's... I don't know where you put Caco, but it's pretty wild.
There was a tweet that I used in the... Here it is. And he even referenced the fact that I used that tweet. That's hilarious. Here's what Ryan Mead from host of Blue Shirts Breakaway has. Kreider, Zibanejad, Tarasenko, Panarin, Trocheck, Kane, Laff, Hedel, Caco, VC, Goodrow, Mott.
Now you got to remember too that VC is having like a great resurgent year, and he was playing like top 6 minutes.
Yeah, he was playing on the first line for a good month there.
And now you're going to push him down to the fourth line, and he's having a great year.
That's a good fourth line.
That's what I mean, though. Is it shows you the depth that New York has? Yeah, you confidently put that fourth line out there, no problem. I wonder. People were asking the question yesterday. I wonder why sometimes it's like sometimes Twitter we galaxy brain things a little too much. They're like, well, if New York would have known that Patrick Kane was going to pick them, would they even have made the Tarasenko deal?
What?
Fucking right. Yeah.
They made both.
Yeah. And they got Mikola too.
Yeah. And Mott. And I just think, I don't know, man. I think that's pretty cool. Like there were people saying, well, if they knew where they're getting Kane, what do you need Tarasenko for? I don't know. Because he won a cup and he's Tarasenko.
They're not dissimilar to the Leafs, where the Leafs, we've been talking about this perceived weakness on the left wing. The Rangers had one on the right. And now they have one of the strongest rights in the conference.
Yeah. And perhaps part of the, one of those is injured. Maybe one of those is past their career prime. But again, we've seen in the playoffs, what experience does. Those guys have both won cups. We know that players play through horrible, terrible, collapsed lung-like injuries. Patrice Bergeron.
Oh my God.
And you know, at the end of the day, it's sort of like you win the cup on Broadway, man. You're a legend forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder about this. Does it make it better or worse for Tarasenko and Kane having each other in the lineup? And when I ask by that is there's two schools of thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number one is that you need to make a lot of ice time for both of them, right? You got to have some ice for those guys.
See, I disagree.
Okay. So let me just so there would one school of thought is you got to make a lot of ice for both of them. They both need their cookies. They both to stay engaged, stay in it. You've seen what Patrick Kane's done in the last 5-6 games where he's had 7 or 8 goals.
Yeah, 10 points in his last 4 games.
It's crazy.
7 of them goals.
Crazy. And then there's the school of thought of having Tarasenko and Kane in the same lineup takes the pressure off Tarasenko and Kane.
Bingo.
Is that what you think?
That's where I'm at. And it's less about pressure. I don't think either of them feel it. They have 4 cups between them. I think it's more about Tarasenko's got some ailments and Kane's got some ailments, and you might as well keep these guys as fresh as possible by not having to play them 20, 22, 25 minutes. No, those dudes should be hanging out around 17 to 19 minutes or something like that. I love, I would like to see the Rangers do with those two what Sheldon Keefe did the other day with his big guys in Seattle. Did you see those numbers? Where almost all of the Leafs' big 4 played 16 minutes or less.
Oh, wow.
Because the Leafs were killing the Kraken early. And he's just like, all right, let's rest these guys. We got 3 and 4 coming up. We're on the Western road trip. Mm-hmm. So let's just shut her down.
It's a basketball game where you're up 30 and you bench all your starters.
That's what he did.
And they don't play the fourth quarter.
And he did it without me even noticing. Mm-hmm. The only thing, and I didn't put it in the video, but as I was watching, I'm like, I'm seeing a lot of Achari. And that was it. So I would expect if the Rangers are up big, you're going to see a lot of VC, Gaudreau, and Mott. And you're going to see maybe the kid line a little bit more with the fresh, younger legs. That team's got like 3 high-end scoring lines and 1 really good grinding line. I think that's maybe the difference between them and Tampa.
And a Norris Trophy winner on defense and a Vezina Trophy winner on goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unbelievable
who's going to run through everybody.
Yep.
It's an unfreaking believable team. That New Jersey matchup, I hope we get that New York, New Jersey matchup.
And Miller, who's underrated. By the way, sorry, I wanted to touch on something real quick, and it relates to the Rangers. I said the Garnet Hathaway and Keandre Miller thing were identical, and someone sent me a tweet. They're not. They're not at all. And I didn't realize until I saw the two side by side. Garnet Hathaway, right in the face.
Hawk the loogie.
Oh
Who
my
did
God.
he spit on?
Eric Goodbranson.
Ooh.
How
fuck.
are you out of your mind doing that to anybody? But Eric Goodbranson, and you see just Goodbranson's face, I'm about to murder a human.
Mm-hmm.
Miller, there's definite plausible deniability. I think he was spitting in general. I don't think he meant to spit on
And
him.
also, he apologized to Doughty after the game. As far as I'm concerned, that that incident's over, right?
Yeah.
Shit happened.
And they
It's
got
hockey.
the exact same amount of games too. They each got 3, the Hathaway and the Miller.
But I think there's, and listen, we can get into a whole thing about the Department of Player Safety. We've done that.
Mm-hmm.
We know they're inconsistent. And we know that within a couple of years, George Peros' name is going to start coming up as the next GM, the next great GM in the league, because that's the path.
Say the line, Bart.
I don't know what the line is.
Make a fucking shirt with it.
I told you.
There's a shirt with it.
Go Sports.
Oh, high sticking hockey.
Oh,
history. High sticking history.
Yeah, but that was awesome.
Guys,
High
listen.
sticking hockey.
I don't know. I told you guys last episode I can't do that. Stop making me do that.
There's a shirt we
you know
make.
I
You know
can't
what?
do
With
that.
eye sticking
I can't do
and
that.
history.
I told
and your
you.
job is to point out the PowerPoint.
My brain doesn't work that way.
You have a way of asking things suddenly that made my brain freeze too.
Yes,
I'm like,
thank you.
I don't know what the shirt is.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on someone.
Yeah, you're supposed to live up to the moment.
Yes,
No,
and
The pressure's on.
I should have. Yes, and that's a great line, Jesse, because he says, I should have thrown it back
Yes,
at you.
and I'm going to crumble in this situation.
Okay, so the New York Rangers. I'm dying for a New York, New Jersey first round. Dying for it.
Going to be awesome.
I'd prefer it in the second round, but if it's going to happen, at least it happens.
Yeah.
The problem with the NHL playoffs is it's so stacked in the first round with great matchups that you kind of, by the Western Conference, are kind of boring unless your team's in it.
So with the Metro, I mean, it's March, what, 2nd?
Mm-hmm.
First. You have to, let's just assume the standings remain the same.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina wins the division, and it's New Jersey versus the Rangers. Who cares about who has home ice? Today, just today, Jesse, you're going to like this. Adam, you won't.
What?
I got to give it to the Rangers.
The matchup?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's nothing against New Jersey. We're talking about a team that went to the Final Four last year and is still actually pretty young for the most part, versus a team that hasn't had the opportunity to do this yet. Like, we're going to see, like, did Hischier go to the playoffs with Hall?
I don't think so.
I can't remember. So it might be his first playoff run. It's Jack Hughes' first playoff run. There's a lot of guys on that team that haven't played in several years. Like, was Brott with the team when they went to the first round a few years ago?
Nico Hischier has 5 career playoff games.
Yeah, okay, so that would be the
17-18 season.
Who did they even play? Tampa?
Oh gosh.
I think it was Tampa.
I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter.
No.
It's whoever they played beat them badly. But like, I mean, it was Taylor Hall and his band of merry men and children. And the team is actually still pretty friggin' young.
It was Tampa. Great memory.
Oh, there you go. And yeah, they just didn't have a prayer. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a weird goalie who gave them a huge performance and a win. And I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it the Hamburglar? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. A lot of these guys are going to be playing in the playoffs for the first time, either ever or first time in many years.
Keith Kincaid, Corey Schneider were their 2 goalies.
Wow. The West had done shit all up until yesterday evening. They finally got off their asses and made some trades, starting with the Edmonton Oilers and sweet relief for Jesse Puljujarvi. That's right. It's a soft J. To clear cap space for the following deal. The Oilers basically, I guess, had told Puljujarvi and his agent that they weren't going to qualify him at $3 million because I guess that's what he's making. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to renegotiate somewhere in the ones. And Jesse and his agent were like, hey, you've tanked our value and now you're not going to qualify me. How about a fresh start for the 5th time in the last 3 years? Yeah. And this time the Oilers finally did it. I think, honestly, I think it's easy to shit on the Oilers, but I'm going to have to do it again. They missed their chance to trade Puljujarvi at the top of his trade value. I don't know. After he had that, he sat out the year and played in Europe, and then came back and played really, really well. That was your time. That was the time to move him. And I think, if you're going to not use the guy to his strengths, if he doesn't fit your system, if he doesn't fit your culture, what can happen in Edmonton, and it happens in Toronto, happens in Montreal, it can happen in Boston and New York, and media heavy markets, is that the media gets on him, and these guys are not immune to this stuff, right? Like they do hear it. Mm-hmm. And Puljujarvi's been the whipping boy there for like 3 or 4 years. Even when he wasn't there were crazy headlines about him. And I just feel like, man, you could have got more. B, you could have saved this human being the crazy headlines that he got even this year from certain members of the media.
To his credit, I don't know if it affected him.
And listen, maybe if it doesn't, that's fine. But I just feel like this, before Ken Holland was GM, this trade was inevitable. And I don't understand why they didn't just make it.
People are going to be paying attention to his Carolina stats, and that's going to be very annoying.
I think he'll be great there, man. They have a system.
He's a decent fit. They have a system. Was it Travis Yost who was like, he fits Carolina perfectly, a defensively responsible forward who can't score?
Yeah. Now that said, I love the move they made after. So I shit on the Oilers.
Here, wait, though. I want to talk about the guy they got very briefly. Patrick Puistola. So, glass half full.
Okay.
He's a 3rd-round pick from 2019. He's only 22 years old, and he currently leads his Finnish team in scoring.
Cool.
Jokerit.
Which is no joke.
Yes, 38 points in 56 games. Remember, Finland's a low-scoring league. So, how am I supposed to feel about that, Steve? He's 22 and he leads his league in scoring. Well, the guy who's second in scoring on that team is a 37-year-old 9th round pick of the St. Louis Blues from 2003.
Ninth rounder.
Ninth round. Dude, how old is he?
He's 37.
37.
This team, I was going through it yesterday. I was in a doctor's office and I was bored. I was going through the team, and Finnish teams are full of like practically kids and uncles, like 15-year age gaps. Like there's another guy on this team who was picked in the 8th round somewhere. Was it this guy? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But so glass half full. He's a 22-year-old who leads his Finnish team in scoring. Glass half empty.
Carolina.
It might not mean anything.
Yeah. And I think I took that moment, and as I said, I crapped on the Oilers front office, but I love the move that they made for Matthias Ekholm. I'm a big fan. So Tyson Barrie is now a Predator, and I kind of feel bad. The Oilers will also receive a 6th round pick. And I believe there is some retention in this deal as well.
I never feel too
4%.
4%.
I never feel too bad for a guy who gets traded in Nashville. Great city.
It's a very odd thing for Nashville to do, to retain 4%. Like if that's what the deal was hanging on, because you only get 3 retention spots.
Shayna pointed that out.
And to blow one for 4% is a very odd thing to do.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a good point. Now, and he signed through 25, 26, so it's a couple more years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. 23 right now. Tyson Barrie, prospect Reed Schaefer, along with a 1st round pick in 23 and a 4th in 2024. Oilers will receive Nashville's 6th round pick in 2024. Ekholm, though, being the big name here. This is the defensively responsible, big body, mean SOB that the Oilers need, that fits their window. He's 32 years old. Tons of playoff experience.
Yep.
Went to we saw him in the finals.
Yep.
When he was a little bit younger. I can't believe that was 7 years ago. It was 2016 we were there. That's right. It
17.
was 7 years. No, 17?
Yeah, 17. 16 was Penguin Sharks.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I always get the
Still,
two
it was
mixed
6
up.
years ago. My God.
Thanks, Penguins, for going back to back, you freaking jerks.
This could be the start of some defensive upgrades for the Oilers because, to be honest with you, it's still not good enough.
It still doesn't look
like it
awesome.
looks so much better, but you've got Nurse, Ceci, Ekholm, Evan Bouchard, which I like.
I like that a lot.
And then Broberg and Kulak. You got to do something about Ceci and Nurse. Like Nurse he's stapled to you. He's got that contract. He's not going anywhere. You got to move on from former Leaf defenseman.
Well, they moved on from one.
They have to do something else here.
Yeah, they're one defenseman short.
And listen, the whole idea, we complained for years and years and years that NHL GMs were not creative enough. This year, we're finding out that they are actually creative, and they are actually, it is possible. And one of the guys doing it is Chris Drury. The other guy doing it is Kyle Dubas. You look at the GM creativity and getting some things done this deadline. Even Ken Holland was actually maneuvering pieces.
Oh, he was rumored to be in on everybody.
But it's not about what you're rumored to be on. It's what you get done.
Got Ekholm done?
And he's got to get more than this done for the Oilers for them to have a truly fair shake. Like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl could have won the cup any year. They could have done it last year easily.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you give them everything that you possibly could?
They really I mean, people won't put their faith in the Oilers because of their warts, and I can't help but focus on their strengths. And I think, I mean, looking at the West this year, why can't the Oilers win the West? Why can't the Oilers at least get another shot at the Western Conference Final?
Goaltending and defense.
Okay, first of all, pull your head out of your ass and play Stuart Skinner more. That's second and third of all as well. Although I thought it was very interesting. I mean, you'll know by the time you listen to the show, but the Oilers won't say who's starting tonight.
Really?
It's got to be Campbell.
I mean, I hope so, purely for the story.
Yeah.
If he's awful, it's a story. If he's great, it's a story.
It's confidence boost for him, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, he's got something to prove. I mean, you know, he's not this ridiculous meme character who's all cuddly, you know, rainbows and roses. Like, no, this team got rid of me. I want to kick their ass. There's a little bit of that to Jack Campbell. How do you think he got to the show? He wants to beat the Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want the Leafs to win tonight. No fucking way.
Well,
do you think
they're still not saying that he's the starter?
All right. Do you think the offense can make up for the bad goaltending and team defense?
Yeah, especially when they get Kane back. That interview, and it's erased now because he actually did something, but did you see that Ken Holland interview?
I saw there was one, but I didn't watch it.
What was it?
It was a quote that was like fireable if it's what he ended up doing. He goes, well, our trade deadline acquisition is going to be Evander Kane. And all of Oilers Twitter was like, fire Ken Holland now. And then he goes out and gets Matthias Ekholm, I think, later that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
They were at a fever pitch yesterday, Oilers Twitter.
Because they need to do something.
Yeah.
Like, the defense isn't good enough. And you have a shot every year to win the Stanley Cup when you have Leon Draisaitl and you have Connor McDavid and you have Zach Hyman and you have Evander Kane. And that forward group is unfucking believable with Nuge playing the way he is. You got to just go help the defense.
there's just so much room for improvement.
I love the fact that Ekholm's got a couple more years too. This isn't just some pure rental. This guy's going to be around for the window. You need another guy who's going to be around for the window. So
maybe, I don't know how you get rid of the Jack Campbell contract, but
I still have this lingering feeling. I haven't heard anything. I have this lingering feeling they might try to get rid of his contract by Friday, but yeah. Well, because the way it's going, I don't know what you do about it in the off season other than, I don't know, do you just simply try again? Do you just say, okay, he'll be better this time?
Would you put $2 down that Jack Campbell is not an Edmonton Oiler come 2 p.m.?
Sports Interaction bet
what is
right
it,
now.
4 p.m. Friday?
3 p.m.
3 p.m.? 3 p.m. 3:01 is Jack Campbell and Edmonton Oiler. I
wouldn't put the money on it.
You put the money on no?
I'd put the money on no, but I'm saying the odds on yes
Yes,
are
he's
decent.
traded.
are decent.
Yeah.
So you could maybe make some money off that.
Adam,
There's no
Unfortunately,
way. You're giving up on that
this
deal
bet is
within a year.
you're putting your money
Yeah.
on yes or no?
He's an Oiler.
He's an Oiler? Okay. I'll put my money on yes.
Yes, he's an Oiler, or yes, he's
Yes,
traded?
he's traded.
Okay. Interesting. Or yes, you pull Yarby. That's a good question. Hey, this show's brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, we always talk about mental health on this show and how important it is. BetterHelp's great. And the reason that it's great is because it gives you the opportunity to match with a therapist that works for you. And it's so important, and all three of us have done this, we've talked about it before, to have a therapist that you have a connection to, right? Chemistry matters when it comes to therapy, and nobody actually really talks about that.
No.
But when you've waited months to get matched with a therapist, a lot of times people are like, well, this is the one I have and I don't want to give it up, even if you're really not connecting and they're not getting you and you're not getting them, right? BetterHelp matches you with somebody in like 48 hours. And here's the thing, you choose the communication. You control that. So do you want to talk over text? Do you want to talk over voice chat? Do you want to talk over phone? Completely your call. And we believe, especially, late winter when it's gray and hard, and let's be honest, some of us have some seasonal. That would be me.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely, if you're at the point where you're thinking you want to give therapy a try, you might want to give BetterHelp a try. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/SDP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/SDP. Hey, if you think you know which way it's going to go, and maybe you think you do, maybe you're like Jesse and you're like, Ryan O'Reilly is going to be a Leaf. And we're like, Jesse, what do you know?
You did sort of
You
nail
did.
that.
I wish I bet on it.
I don't like that sound.
Yeah, you can.
I don't like that at
That
all.
is a weird thing. Anyway,
don't
you can
like
put
that.
you can lay down your knowledge. Sports Interaction, pregame, live and play, one of the many prop bets, and of course, there's trade deadline stuff. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. If you want to bet, see all that sports betting has to offer. SportsInteraction.com/STPN. Or in Ontario, you can download the app using the QR code on your screen. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Everyone knows Peloton makes bikes, duh. But there is also so much more to that. There is treadmills, and there's a ton of other classes like yoga, strength training, HIIT, and boxing. And Steve, you like to take a nice 30-minute ride through various locations. That's the other thing that I think people don't talk about enough is like, I feel like going to Austria and riding a bike today.
Do they have a Guernsey route?
I don't know if
on
they-
Peloton.
I am going to lobby them for it. I need Guernsey. I want to ride through Guernsey. They have Scotland.
Okay.
They do have Square.
We're getting close.
Okay.
They also have the Pacific Coast Highway. What do they call it? California.
Yeah.
California.
Just because it's a road I drove on.
Once you hop off the 405, you can like get on
Get on the tip.
Yeah.
Peloton offers thousands of on-demand classes available 24/7. That means you can work out whenever and wherever it's convenient to you, because nothing gets you moving like the perfect song, too. Peloton has the best playlist. So if you're looking for EDM or 90s pop, or what I do, which is 80s hard rock, I always look for those classes. Peloton has the music to fit your mood, and you can try Peloton right now, risk-free, with a 30-day home trial. New members only, not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.ca/home-trial. Jesse, I sent you something. I sent you a tweet from the Los Angeles Kings. And I want you to read, or I want to read this out to you, but I also want it up on the screen if we can. And I apologize for the coughing, but you know, it
I
can't
think
be
you should do
helped.
it right into the mic.
I moved my head to the side, but it hit me. Do you need more of those halls, by the way?
With the yellow ones or the black ones?
I don't care.
True. Jesse's giving you the black
ones.
They
Okay,
taste
now-
terrible and work.
Okay,
Buckley's.
LA. This is their social media post thanking Jonathan Quick, and then we can talk about how he deserved much better.
Did he?
Okay. On the biggest stages, under the brightest lights, you performed like no other. The ultimate teammate, the fiercest competitor, a legacy that will never diminish. Thank you, Jonathan. That is their social media post today. To Jonathan Quick, who has, not only took him to 2 cups, but was there in the lean times. And just as the times get good again and his contract is expiring, he's off to one of the worst teams in the NHL as a part of a deal. And I think a lot of people are asking, listen, I'm sure LA Kings fans are excited for Gavrikov and Korpisalo, and we can talk about that separately. But Jonathan Quick being included in this deal, even though we always talk about you got to be fucking ice cold, and this was so ice cold, I'm uncomfortable.
You're 100% right. And listen, winning heals all.
Yeah.
You have to win. This is a trade that I didn't see the game, but I read Kopitar had 4 goals.
Yeah, he did.
Visibly upset.
Yeah.
So he had 4 goals and was visibly upset.
I have him on my fantasy team, so I was well aware.
Oh, you were very happy then.
Yeah.
Visibly upset after scoring 4 goals because his goalie got dealt.
Jack Campbell's picture on NHL.com looks like he just got traded to Columbus. Look at that.
You mean Jonathan Quick?
I mean, Jonathan Quick.
Holy
Jack
shit.
Campbell, not Jack Campbell. Jonathan Quick looks like he got traded to Columbus there.
Oh, man.
Nothing against the city of Columbus, but the Blue Jackets stink, and he's obviously expired. Now, listen, let me run you through his numbers.
Sure.
Guy's played 31 games. He started 27 of them. He's below 500, 11, 13, and 4 on a team that's going to the playoffs.
Man.
And here's where it gets worse, man. His goals against average is a 350.
Oh,
His save percentage is an 876.
my God.
I think that Columbus is banking on this player just not reporting.
I was, it's funny you say that. I kind of thought that was the thought process.
Apparently, he's, according to Frank Saravalli, he's less than enthused.
Yeah. It's so hard because Rob Blake did the right thing.
He 100% did.
$5.8 million you got rid of in the Jonathan Quick contract for somebody who's not playing well at all and hasn't been a really good starting goaltender for 4 years now. Peak Jonathan Quick was almost a decade ago. And so it was entirely the right move, but from a personal standpoint, it's so tough to take. And they did wrong by him thing. I don't know if I'm fully in that boat because somebody did their job well, and that was Rob Blake. He did the right thing.
It feels ugly, but you're objectively correct.
Yeah. The right thing for the team is to trade him for this goal for Korpisalo. That is the right. So I don't know if you're doing him dirty, if you did your job well.
The last time,
it's so hard.
The last time Jonathan Quick had a goals against average under 250.
Okay.
What year?
15, I'll guess.
13, 14.
17, 18.
Wow.
Damn.
Okay. The last time he had a save percentage at 9-10. 9-10 was a season and a half ago, right? Last year he had a 9-10 save percentage.
He was pretty good. Mm-hmm.
And then the previous 3 years, 8-9-8, 9-04, 8-8-8. This guy's been on the downslide for a long time. And his contract
was keeping him in the lineup.
100%. Yep. And the reason that I say that, did the Kings do him wrong? I think they did right by him for keeping him around for 5 years after he became a real option for them. Like, he wasn't, every time Jonathan Quick was in net, let's be honest, Kings fans, every time that guy was in net, you were worried.
I mean,
you're a little bit concerned. You're like, shit.
I don't know.
876 is not NHL.
It's not an option. He can't even be your backup at that number. And like, with Patrick Kane, we saw that game in Toronto and we're like, yeah, you can't go out and get that player. And then what did he do? For the next week, he's like, yes, you fucking can. And
he hurt us.
Yeah.
He stunk though. And then he didn't stink. He
had 7 goals in 4 games. And what's nuts about that is he should have had 8.
Yeah.
But it was 0.01 seconds late.
Yep.
Quick, you can say, oh, well, look at him. He could be great in the playoffs. Show us. 876. Those are Toskala on the Leafs numbers.
Yeah. That's bad.
It's not an option. It's not an NHL option.
Yeah.
But
especially
now,
going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now what they have a fascinating quartet of goaltenders in LA. You got Phoenix Copley.
Yep.
Who they actually just signed to an extension. He's been quite good for them.
That was the storyline for the first 3 months of the Los Angeles Kings season.
They had no goaltending.
Phoenix Copley comes in and saves the day magically. This guy out of nowhere because our goaltending sucks so hard.
At 30 years old.
Yeah, 31.
31. Well, there you go. So your main roster goalies right now are Phoenix Copley and Jonas Korpisalo.
Mm-hmm.
You have Cal Peterson, who
injured.
You banished to the
Is he banished? Is he just banished?
Yeah, remember because
he's buried.
Remember he got buried?
He was
they waived
playing
him.
so bad.
Yeah.
They waived him, but
and then Phoenix Copley came up. That was the subsequent move.
Now here's the thing, though: they send him down because they couldn't give them NHL games.
No,
the way he was playing. So we got to send you to the AHL so you can play and find your game. The good news is he has. He's a 9-16 in 25 games in the AHL. And AHL to NHL numbers, it's not a hard match. And just because he's a 9-16 in the AHL doesn't mean those numbers go down. When he's in the NHL, it doesn't mean they go up. It's encouraging to see that he's giving the Ontario Reign quality goaltending, which he was not providing the LA Kings. They also got, I remember when we were talking about this situation, I was like, well, they got Phoenix Copley, but they also have this kid named Matthew Villalta, who had the highest save percentage among them at the time. He still does. 921. He's a third rounder from 2017. He's only played 17 games, so I wonder if he's hurt. I don't know every team's farm system. I apologize. But next year, I wonder if they just say, okay, we're going to try Copley, Peterson, Villalta. I don't know.
I love our Discord because where our Discord really thrives is passion. And I want to read this. Robert Malloy sent me a link to this, and I absolutely loved it. Because, sometimes on this show, and we are fans, right? We're fans. But we talk about a player like Jonathan Quick as Leaf fans with a bit of detachment. We watched the playoff runs in 2012 and 2014 where they were winning the cups, and you saw how spectacular he was. But the emotional attachment is just different, right? Like it's, if you're a Kings fan, you love Jonathan Quick.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what a Kings fan had to say on our Discord. The Quick trade makes me so sad as a Kings fan. The man put his body through so much for the saves in our cup runs.
A lot of injuries.
It's not the right way to have him sent off, especially if it was another Marc-Andre Fleury situation. Quick is currently 5 wins away from crossing John Van Beesbroek passing John Van Beesbroek for second on the all-time U.S. goalie wins list. He's 22 behind first place person Ryan Miller. Our goaltending hasn't been great, but we'll always love him and he will always be a king. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine in a place where he can be with his family and Johnny Gaudreau. He can chase the record if he wants to next year. Blake, as in Rob Blake, is in a win now mode. He gets the goalie and the D-man, both in their prime, both with something to prove for next year. Quick would have played in our playoff run, and he likely wouldn't play next year with how much he exerts himself for the team. I'm sure it was tough for everyone involved, as it is a sad day for Quick, his family, Blake, the Kings fans. We have a good team, and personally, I worry about how this will sit in the locker room.
Doughty, Kopitar.
It also sends a message that not everyone is really safe. With all of our prospects, we don't need more. So, send the first into the sun. I guess the Kings have a good system. Columbus players will have to earn their spots as a hockey fan. Go Kings, go. Don't make this trade for nothing. So, and the sentiment there is that it's like, I think that's somebody that understands both sides. But the pain side of seeing somebody go like that, like even as a Leaf fan on the other side of the continent, I'm uncomfortable. Well, it's an uncomfortable trade.
The Frank Saravalli tweet about to say Jonathan Quick was less than enthused is an understatement. We have a podcast, so I can say he was fucking pissed. And that's a guy whose fire burns hot. And we've seen it a number of times. I wonder if he just flipped the fuck out. Because we didn't,
and the dressing room was pissed. Apparently, the whole dressing room was dejected after the game.
The reaction, I think, is even more like at a fever pitch, is because it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
There was no rumblings that this was coming. It was kind of out of nowhere.
Well, you wouldn't think it was tradable.
No,
guys,
even for the players, it sounds like
the guys who will be most dejected by this decision are the heartbeat of the locker room. Right? It's Kopitar, it's Doughty, and the other guys on that team are going to follow their lead. And then you got Gavrikov, who's probably not in the best mood either, because he hasn't played for the last 2 weeks, and he's
missed like 8 games.
Yeah. And we're expecting him to just jump in and be great. And Columbus fucked this up too. Well,
they fucked it up because they had the deal with Boston and they didn't pull the trigger.
I'm sure Kekalainen is going to ownership, and he's like, see, I told you I'd get a first and a third, and I did. And also had to eat Quick money, and also didn't get any assets for Korpisalo whatsoever. Because I'm sure that's how he went into this deadline a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to get a first and a third for Gavrikov, and I'm going to get, I don't know, second round pick for Korpisalo. I think we all a couple of weeks ago would have been like, yeah, okay, that makes some sense.
The Gavrikov price tag never made sense to me.
No.
I can full out say I think the guy is okay at best. But he's big, he blocks shots. What does that mean? He never has the puck.
But look at what the Bruins gave up for Orlov and Hathaway.
Two much more useful players. Orlov is a much more useful defenseman.
I think so personally. But I think because we all thought Gavrikov was going to the Bruins, or at least it looked that way, I think the Blue Jackets were probably closer to getting something like that than we all know, and they've fucked it up.
Boston was their trading partner, and they goofed.
Speaking of teams in this weird little love triangle quartet, whatever, who were the Kings supposed to get? Chychrun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was why he was scratched the first time. That deal was almost done.
Where the hell's that guy going?
If Arizona hasn't traded him by the trade deadline, they should be fined. Honest to God. This has gone on too long.
You know what?
This guy has sat out. He sat out like a 10th of his fucking season already.
And now he's supposed to just come back and be like, "Oh, I'm playing again."
Yeah, well, and Gavrikov too. He sat out 8 games. That's a 10th of the season.
You should.
That's bullshit. And listen, I don't have a problem with players not being dressed for injury reasons, but at least Columbus pulled the fucking trigger. Arizona, pull the trigger. How much dancing do you need to do with Ottawa?
Ottawa or Washington?
Whatever LA. They had the deal with LA. What did you do?
Edmonton.
Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton still could make that move.
They wanted to, but
I don't know.
Edmonton probably should. That would be a spectacular fit given with Ekholm. Oh my God.
Imagine.
It'd be insane. It'd be great. I'd be thrilled for Edmonton. But I'm saying, pull the fucking trigger, guys. The price is not what you want it to be. The price is what the market will bear. Pull the trigger.
When does it become point shaving? When does it become throwing games?
Well,
I know they won last night.
Arizona?
Yeah.
I mean, tanking is technically
you're keeping healthy players out of the lineup on purpose, and it's not a healthy scratch. You expressly said you're going to trade this player, and then you didn't.
Steve, this is a team that hasn't been trying to win for 3 years.
You could
They're
say 3
actively trying
Jesse,
to.
you could make that argument for the last 3 decades.
They're actively trying to get bad all the time. Like, it's never going to happen.
This was the argument I was making with yesterday on Twitter. There was a story that got out there about the NHL is going to closely scrutinize teams that acquire injured players. Chris Johnston. That's right. They're going to closely scrutinize injured players or teams that acquire injured players to keep them on injured reserve until the playoffs, and then they play in the playoffs. So Gustav Nyquist, I think, was a name that came out there. And then the Wild, because they're run by Bill Guerin, said, fuck you, we're doing it. Because that's his personality. That's kind of what he does. And what I was saying is either all cap shenanigans are okay or none of them are. Because the teams acquiring a player to keep on injured reserve until the playoffs are trying to win the cup. The teams that are keeping players out of the lineup or acquiring players who will never play again, a la the Arizona Coyotes, they're not doing it for shits and giggles. They're doing it to hopefully win the draft lottery, win Connor Bedard, in hopes of what?
Turning it around.
And winning the cup. It all comes back to the cup. It's all competition. It's all with a goal of either winning now or winning later. Either both of them are okay or neither of them are. Don't punish the teams trying to win now and let the teams who are trying to win later skate. That's bullshit.
I agreed.
Yep.
I think that, fair is fair.
Yeah. And in CJ's thread about that, he said this. While the NHL isn't outright banning any such moves, it says it will investigate transactions to see if they constitute circumvention of the CBA. What has teams upset is these trades have been permitted in the past. For example, the Leafs acquired Riley Nash while he was recovering from a sprained knee in 2021 and didn't activate him until the playoffs.
It's always about the Leafs. Always fucking about the Leafs.
NHL's got some of the worst rules.
But dude, like, if it's one of your own guys, it's fine. Like the Lightning got a cup out of it with Kucherov. The Blackhawks got a cup out of it with Kane. I think that was 2015. We were like, oh man, they can't afford anyone. And then they went out and got Antoine Vermette, and we're like, what? And it's because Kane was out of the lineup, and we're like, oh, I don't know about the Blackhawks' hopes this season. And then game one, it's like friggin' Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's grandpa getting up out of bed. Oh, I can walk, you know? and then all of a sudden they win a cup. If it's your own guy, it's totally fine. And like, it's not an Arizona Coyotes specific thing. Shea Weber never played a game for the team the Coyotes got him from. This is all, I mean, it's not money laundering, but it's cap laundering.
That's what I was about to bring up. I was like, why isn't what the Coyotes do with guys who are never going to play again not cap circumvention, but teams who are trying to win do with guys who are not playing until the playoffs? That's considered cap circumvention. Having Shea Weber, Andrew Ladd, Brian Little, and Joshua Brown just all on injured reserve and paying them so you make the floor, that's as much cap circumvention as the teams who are holding out players for the playoffs. It's the same shit except reverse.
What did Tampa get Brent Seabrook for? Help on the right side? It's all bullshit.
The Leafs did it with Clarkson.
Yeah, exactly.
The Leafs did it.
And Nathan Horton.
Doing it like now.
Yeah.
To reach the LTIR threshold.
But at least their guys on LTIR are their guys.
Right. It's not on purpose.
You know, I think
so. The NHL, either all of it's okay or none of it is.
And the NHL, here's the thing. The owners ultimately want to win because it's profitable to win. So Gary can monitor and Bill can monitor and they can do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, all the teams that do it are all the major teams in the sport. And they're going to say to them, hey, how about you fucking back off on this one? Protect my investment. That's what you're hired for. Let me win. So thank you. Bye. And but then until the owners and the executives say, I don't like that these guys are doing it. Well, I think right now you've got most of the NHL executive, which is those top 8 owners, are in good spots. Or they're in spots either, the Jacobs family's got a team that's, putting together a historic season. Yep. You got the Blackhawks, who another one of the member of the executive, who are putting together a historically bad season so they can be better. I don't think the NHL does a fucking thing about it. I don't think they do a thing. I think they put out that statement. They go, here, Mr. Reporter, just put out that we're going to monitor. We're going to closely monitor, and then we're just going to hope this goes away like everything else does. And guess what? It will. As soon as the playoffs start, no one fucking cares.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I just like I hate to pretend like the news cycle moves on. And to be honest with you, you take this option away, and the NHL knows this. This is one of the best trade deadlines we have ever seen. Especially,
it might be the best ever.
It's certainly the best since the cap era.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Not even close.
You think they're going to go in and be like, okay, everybody chill.
Yeah.
This
has been a
more of this
fantastic week and a half for hockey.
And
no more
man,
of this trade stuff.
Friday's going to be dead. Yeah, it's going to be dead if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's going to be like if you work in the sport, like what an opportunity for us to do some storytelling and discussion and debate.
I love that
day.
I love the joke about, James Duthie, what are you going to do? Like that sort of thing, like that they're playing at TSN. But you could spend the first 3 hours of that show, if nothing happens, talking about what happened.
Yeah, so much has happened.
You're fine.
You're going to be able to prep features, which is great. So usually, here, I'll give you a little behind the scenes. What would happen, because I was actually at NHL Network, which was in the TSN studios, is they'll be like, get me a bunch of B-roll of Chychrun. Give me a bunch of B-roll of Gavrikov. Give me some Gavrikov goals. Give me some Gavrikov block shots. Like they'll be really specific about it. And instead of just going through and getting you all that B-roll, well, actually I could still do it. But now that we're still several days out, we have a full day to prepare tomorrow. And then there's the actual deadline. We can look at their first game with their team, their first few games, with O'Reilly. We can look at features that we did with these players earlier in the season. We can create a new one. We can, here's an interview with Sheldon Keefe. Here's an interview with Michael Bunting's aunt, who I think was O'Reilly's volleyball coach. Did you see that story?
No.
Yeah, there's some sort of relation with O'Reilly and Bunting, and someone was a volleyball coach.
Wow.
It's an extraordinary opportunity to do storytelling and debate and discussion and either it'll be a day where 1,000 trades break, or it'll be a day of great discussion and celebration of the sport.
Yeah, this has been one of the best 7-ish days of NHL news. It's been nonstop, just trades and moves and just conversation about hockey, and it's been fantastic.
Shout out
one of the
Producer
best
Drew.
years ever.
Producer Drew was heroic yesterday.
Yeah, producing all his videos for you.
Well, he had dinner reservations, and he's like, "Hey, are you sending that video yet?" I'm like, "I'm fucking trying."
Yeah, he was late for dinner, and Drew put it on. Yeah,
I just stayed in the basement
work.
while my wife was a single mother upstairs. Like it was torture, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, the world exploded."
Yeah, I told Natalie, I'm like, "You're just not going to see me much this week. It's all it is. There's a lot to manage."
I came upstairs. She's like,
and I'm not even the one doing the videos.
Did the Leafs make a trade? No, they made 3.
I'd just like to formally apologize to Joshua Brown, who I lumped in with Shea Weber, Andrew Latta, and Brian Little. He's actually injured, so
okay, that's fair.
So I just want to apologize to you, Joshua, if you're listening.
There's a trade in the West that we have not mentioned yet, that we've not broken down in its entirety.
Did somebody in the West try and actually go for it?
Well, let me ask you, of the teams in the West, other than the Kings and the Oilers, who made a trade yesterday? And how, a team that's really going for it? Perhaps a surprise, maybe.
Are you talking about that weird trade between the Ducks and the Sharks?
No.
Fucking
this trade, I would say it's a medium big deal. But at any other trade deadline, it would have been a bigger deal because nothing fucking happens at the trade deadline. But now it's such bananas trade deadline. It's like a nothing story.
The Wild got Marcus Johansson?
Yes. And?
They got someone else?
Yeah.
The Wild?
Yeah.
Oh, Gustav Nyquist.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, the Wild got Johansson and Gus Nyquist.
That's okay.
That's okay. Listen, for a team that is medium in it, I mean, they're third in the division right now. They've got that ridiculous cap penalty. The fact that they're buying, great. Good for them.
I mean, Yeah. Like, I don't know what to make of that team at all.
Well, I think they're still trying to win through the hard parts. And you know what?
I mean, they're
another
not
pretty good year.
They're not punting.
No, it only cost them a 5th round pick.
Which they got from Boston in the 3-way deal.
Yeah, and Nyquist has like 22 points in 48 games this year, so not crazy good. But the Blue Jackets suck.
So
it maybe is not it's not indicative of what he's probably capable of.
Now, and they need scoring bad. Because scoring. There was a stat the other day when the Leafs played the Wild, and I don't remember what it is, but they did players who factor into the highest percentage of their team's goals. Like, Kirill Kaprizov scores or the Wild don't do shit.
I was about to bring that up. Yeah. He's carrying the entire team.
There was a game last week where the Wild were down 2-0 to the Blue Jackets, and they won 3-2 in overtime. He had every goal.
He had a hat trick.
Whoa. He had every goal, and I keep tabs on him because I got him in fantasy. Okay. They need, like, Johansson, if he can give them some games. Nyquist can give them a little bit of scoring. Yeah, those are decent ads for them.
Yeah, there are some nights where it's like, hey, Kaprizov's going to put up 8 shots. He's going to have 6 shots. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous, and you're just going to will this team to victory. He's one of the most underrated superstars of the entire game.
Oh, Kaprizov.
Yeah. Even if he doesn't want to play in the All-Star game and
he's unreal.
Is a little pouty about it.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great look.
Amazing how much killing it for my fantasy team makes me forgive him. It's like, oh, you're fine, Kirill.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
So I got a couple things left.
I saw Adam texted you. What the fuck are you guys
playing? I got 2 things.
What are you planning?
And the objective of this segment is to make Steve angry.
Oh, great.
Okay. I got 2 things that push Steve's button.
Are we ending with this?
Well, we can do the press conference too if you want to.
It's been a long one.
I know. It's a question.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay, fine. We won't do the press conference.
No.
Steve needs to get home eventually before rush hour traffic starts.
All right. Jesse, will you play the first clip for us through our headphones?
Oh, this.
This is Wes McCauley yesterday. Yeah. And this is a Minnesota-New York Islanders game.
New York, number 75, Minnesota. 5 guys each for fighting.
One more time?
Yeah, do it again.
Want it again? All right, here you go.
New York, number 75, Minnesota. 5 guys each for fighting.
Okay, thanks, Wes.
You don't like that. By the way,
I saw. No, you know what made me mad? So the tweet that Jesse played, the caption was, "I hate this guy. I legit hate him." What I saw was ESPN with a bunch of like clapping and laughing emojis, and I'm just like, "Is this tweet from fucking 5 years ago?"
He doesn't do that here in Toronto, does he?
He does it every single time. There's a fight in a Wes McCauley game. I mean, if you're Ryan Reeves, you have a duty to fight if you know he's officiating, because then you're going to get the fighting. You saw him flexing at the camera. He knew.
Mm-hmm.
He knew. I don't know. I don't know. You know when Bart Simpson goes on every talk show and he goes, "I didn't do it," and everyone goes, "Oh," and then it's, "I didn't do it." Oh,
So,
like, yeah, it's, I don't know. Thanks, Wes.
So I think we'll wrap it up there. I think we'll leave it at Wes McCauley to play us off. Fighting!
No, let me play it again.
Play it again. Play us off, Wes.
All right, Wes, get here. All right.
New York, number 75, Minnesota. 5 guys each for fighting.
Oh, nice mix in there, Jesse. All right.
There you go.
All right.
Woo! Steve, do it. Do it, Steve.
Do it, Steve.
Do it.
Trade deadline show
5 minutes each for fighting. I'm the star of the show.
The Steve Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction. Want to bet?
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.